Waiting on Facebook here to load real quick. Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect right now. These are mainly for our westernmost communities. This is for portions of Lincoln, Moore, and Franklin counties that runs in effect till 3 o'clock, and south in Marshall County until 2:45. So let's get up here to this first storm here. So we're seeing this pretty strong indication here of what we call bow echo in here. This is where radar is indicating potentially 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. Now, I do want to let you know that for those of you that may be watching from Franklin County and Lincoln County, this severe thunderstorm warning does have a considerable damage threat tag to this. So what that means is that wind gusts could reach up to 70 miles an hour in the warned area, and that could be enough to cause considerable tree damage. And let me show you the reason why that's being said. It's because you see these bright blues in here, and in fact, I'll query the velocity here. Right in here close to the Delrose area of Lincoln County, there's a wind gust being indicated of 73 miles an hour just a few thousand feet off the ground. And that is a very strong, what we call a bow echo. Now, what we're going to have to watch and see here as this moves off to the east here is if on the leading edge, what can happen here is sometimes you get these little eddies that can form along the leading edge, and sometimes you can get brief spin-ups out of that. While at the time I don't see a tornado threat with this, I cannot rule out that chance down the road if this line were to continue to strengthen, at least this segment of the line were to. So keeping an eye on this bright blue and white right here. That's where the indications are of 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. It's getting ready to cross 231 and 431 in Lincoln County here just on the south side of Fayetteville and even downtown and down towards the state line there with Madison County, Alabama. And if this does hold together, this will be impacting Franklin County here in less than an hour. So, as I said, you really got until about 2:45 or so before this really gets to you over here towards Huntland and eventually towards Timms Ford, Winchester, Deckard, and Belvedere. And then afterwards, this could end up being a Swanee issue and a Cowan issue, and then down the road, somewhere about an hour and a half from now, probably into the Marion and Grundy County areas. But the immediate concern right now is mainly in Lincoln County with this, and also down here south towards Gunnersville Lake. There's also another indication of a 60 to 70 mile an hour winds moving over the Gunnersville Lake area. There's been an observed report of a 70 mile an hour wind gust in that area, so anybody around Gunnersville Lake should be off the lake, and same thing with Timms Ford. So anybody that's around Timms Ford or Lake Gunnersville, you got to be off the water right now and inside somewhere sturdy, whether it's a vehicle or something, so that to protect yourself at least from the lightning and also protect yourself from the extreme heavy rain and also the high wind gusts here as this is moving off from west to east. Again, those of you in Jackson County and in DeKalb County, this is heading your way next. You already got a pretty strong thunderstorm up in here north of Scottsboro that we'll have to watch carefully and see if this develops any supercell characteristics. But so far, it's not doing that, but it's a pretty hefty storm. It's heading up towards Stevenson, so heads up that way for this cellular storm. But right here, what I'm seeing here in western Lincoln County is this, what we call a bow echo right here. And you can kind of see where it's bowed out like this, like a bow and arrow, and it goes like this. So that's exactly the movement it's moving in, from west to east, near and north of the state line. And that verifies very well with the velocity. Now, the velocity is just a touch behind. That's usually the case in radar world here, but what you're seeing here, you see it does match up well with the leading edge of this gust front, and right behind that and right along and just behind that is where the most intense winds are. So again, the brighter the color you see on here, the brighter the blue, the brighter the whites you see here, the stronger the indications are of damaging wind. As I said, we're seeing several indications in here of 60 to 70 as that moves, as it's getting ready to cross the 231, 431 corridor in Lincoln County, Tennessee, near Fayetteville, and then it's going to pass east of there towards Flintville and eventually into southern Moore County. So the south side of Lynchburg is going to be involved in this down the road, and also into the Winchester area. Now up here to the north here, I'm also seeing some increasing wind just north of this. That's moving up here towards the southern end of Bedford County and also northern Moore County. So this would actually impact Lynchburg and even Tullahoma down the road. Now, there's no official warning on this right now to the north, but if this cell were to continue intensifying, you may get a warning up in here, at least a severe thunderstorm warning in northern Moore County, perhaps parts of Coffee County too, specifically around Tullahoma. So here's your early heads up here that we do have that possibility of more damaging winds up to the north of this, and this shower activity here north of Manchester heading towards McMinnville, this part right here is non-severe and non-worrying at this time. So again, we're going to kind of go back and forth here between north to south here, and we're going to go down and check out again Marshall County because we just got a new update here. So right over the heart of Guntersville and Lake Guntersville is where we're seeing some very intense lightning, the potential for damaging winds, heavy rain, hail threat. Really, to be honest, if there were to be some hail, it should be small. It shouldn't be anything big. So, and if it were to be anything, it'd probably be maybe pea, marble, maybe penny size, something like that. But hail threat, at least the way it's looking right now, is not looking like to be the main show here. The main show is going to be the intense wind gusts and the intense lightning and torrential downpours. Those will be the main show with this line of thunderstorms as it moves from west to east. Now we got a new warning here that's been issued for part of Jackson County. So this includes Skyline and Woodville and areas west of Scottsboro. So heads up out in those areas here west of Scottsboro. You've got a severe thunderstorm warning now in effect through the next hour. So that's going to go in effect through, let me get you the time on that real quick, until 3:15. So that's going to be for 60-mile-an-hour winds, and it's located over the Marshall Space Flight Center, which is over Redstone Arsenal. That's where the severe storm is being indicated there. And it's moving off to the east. Looks like it says at about 35 miles an hour. So here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put some storm tracks on this. And what I'm going to do also is make sure we get all this covered here. So hold on just a second. Let's see here. Alright, let's make sure I have that linear mode on. There we go. So we'll start up here in Lincoln County and work south. So we'll move it from there, and all the way out here to Franklin County. And let me get that right speed on that. That's moving east up there at least at 55. So that's a fast mover right there. 55 miles an hour. So Bellevue there around 227. So Park City near Fayetteville around 228. Howell Hill around 232. Downtown Fayetteville around 233. Kelso around 236. Vantown and Flintville around 238. Smithland there around 240. Down here to the south, there's Lexi Crossroads in Franklin County around 247. Huntland there around 247 as well. Lynchburg around 249. Beach Hill around 249. Belvedere around 252. Winchester Springs there around Timms Ford Lake at 256. Kissling Crossing in Winchester around 256 as well. 258 for Winchester. 259 for Estill Springs in Tullahoma. Deckard around 3 o'clock. 303 for Cowan. And then down here to the south, Gum Creek around 307. Greenhall 305. Calls in Coffee County 309. Wilder Chapel at 310. Same with Swanee. So Swanee area around 310. Same with Rorke's Cove and Prairie Plains. St. Andrews around 312. And then Hillsboro, if that holds together, around 313. So that's the northern end. That's the line moving through Fayetteville right now. Now let's track this one in Jackson County. That's moving a little slower, but it's still fairly strong. And we'll get this out here towards Scottsboro at 35 miles an hour. So again, this is going to be near Ryland at 237. Doug Hill there in Huntsville at 238. Moontown around 240. Maysville around 242. Newmarket around 248. Gurley around 248. Paint Rock in Jackson County at 255. Trenton, Alabama, not Georgia, at 252. So that's Trenton, Alabama, and Jackson County. Around 3 o'clock in Woodville and Princeton. Little Nashville around 301. Pleasant Grove's around 304. Grant around 311. Skyline around 312. Also Maynard Cove around 316. And Scottsboro around 321. And then down the list is Langston at 322. 327 in Hollywood, Section around 329, and Powell there in DeKalb County near Northeast Alabama Community College at 339. So considering this is a little bit elongated down here farther south, I'm going to go ahead and put a track on this for those of you in DeKalb County. And let me make sure I have the right speed on that one too. That's also been a 70-mile-an-hour wind gust. That's moving east at 55. So speeds are varying pretty widely along this leading edge. So in Columbus City at 232, Grant there at 235 from the south storm. Down here towards Swearingen at 240, Woodville around 243, Langston 243, Geraldine in DeKalb County around 247. There's the south side of Scottsboro at 250, same with Section. Rock City in Alabama, 251. Again, that's the Alabama side of Rock City. Fife at 252. Powell at 254. Shiloh at 254 as well. Dutton around 255. Rainsville around 257. And then down here towards Pine Ridge and Fort Payne around 3 o'clock. And also lastly up here, Henniger around 306. And then Berry Springs around 317. So those are some storm tracks here that I just gave out here for the northern and southern storms here for those of you in portions of Lincoln, Moore, Franklin County, down into Jackson, Marshall, and DeKalb. We'll track those further east with time, but let's get back up here and see how the winds are doing here. So let me get back here to Max 1, and I'll show you what we're seeing up here to the north. Again, very strong indications, still some very intense indications of damaging wind here. Moving across Highway 231, 431 right now in Lincoln County, right over Fayetteville, and it's heading due east towards those of you in the Huntland area and actually towards Belvedere and also Timms Ford Lake. So here's your heads up. You got about 20 to 30 minutes before this gets to you. And it's moving east fast at about 50 to 60 miles an hour, so it will not take long for it to get there. Also seeing some signatures of wind increasing for those of you in western Jackson County. The highest wind gusts are currently over the Huntsville area, and it's moving due east towards Gurley and towards Skyline, so heads up out there. Winds seem to be kind of decreasing down on the Marshall County side as it heads towards DeKalb County, Alabama, but I'm still seeing a lot of indications of some very intense rain, some lightning, and also some gusty winds moving from Marshall County over Lake Gunnersville and into DeKalb County in Alabama. And we also have some other cells here that are also trying to pop out ahead of this. We'll have to keep an eye on these in case they were to try to maybe rotate, but so far I'm not seeing any indications of that. These out ahead of it are just general pop-ups. Hopefully they stay that way. And again, this is not really the most formed line in the world, but there are pockets along this leading edge of this broken line right here where we're seeing gusts, wind gusts in here, and these scattered pockets being anywhere from 50 to 60 miles an hour and even some gusts up to 70 embedded in this. So we just got a new warning update to the north. And again, that wind damage threat for Lincoln and Franklin and Moore counties is considerable. So that's the exact wording that's being used on this. So the wind damage threat, again, for those of you in Lincoln, Moore, and Franklin counties is considerable. So that means considerable tree damage is possible. That also means winds could gust up to 70 miles an hour in some locations. So, and that's the only time that these considerable severe thunderstorm warnings are issued is when the gusts do reach upwards of 70 miles an hour. So you won't get that for a 60 mile an hour, but you'll get that for a 70 because it's a higher end. So, and remember, a 70 mile an hour wind is about the same speed and really the same wind speed as a high-end tropical storm and also an EF0 tornado. So you got to treat these winds seriously as they move from west to east. Again, it's going to be a straight line from west to east, and that right there could cause tree damage. As I said, it could cause tree damage to power lines. It could cause all kinds of things. So we just got to really keep an eye on things here over the next few minutes here. And they just also updated Marshall County's warning, too. That warning still remains in effect for about another 15 minutes. But I believe they're probably going to continue extending all these warnings. And really the main thing here I do want to point out here is that as this line continues to progress from west to east, as long as it continues to maintain its strength as it's doing right now, I do expect more warnings to be issued here. And that's going to continue going forward here. So if you're out ahead of this line, you're out here towards Marion County, and you're on Sand Mountain, and you're out in Chattanooga, northwest Georgia, there's a pretty good chance, at least right now, as of this moment, you run a pretty good chance of getting at least a severe thunderstorm warning being issued for you as this line continues, this broken line continues to move to the east. Because I'm seeing a lot of indications here along this leading edge where you see the brighter blues in here of 60 to even isolated pockets up to 70 mile an hour winds in here. So, as I said, you got to take this seriously here today because this is definitely a serious situation. This could cause power outages. I mean, this could cause a lot of problems here. So just make sure that you guys are aware. And also want to make a quick note here. I'm also broadcasting this on YouTube as well. So my YouTube handle is Chase B Weather. So you can watch that over there as well. With the advantage of the YouTube, you could actually put this on your television on the YouTube side because I have that broadcasting on Restream over there. So I'm not just live just here on Facebook, but I'm also live on YouTube as well. So, and they've also upgraded this severe thunderstorm warning for western Jackson County to considerable as well. So all these warnings here from Marshall County all the way up into Lincoln, Moore, and Franklin counties, they are all being labeled as considerable. That means 60 to 70 mile an hour winds are likely in that warned area, and that right there can knock down trees, can knock down power lines, and that, of course, can cause power outages. So just a heads up here, and if you're out ahead of this line, make sure you have your phone on, just as a friendly reminder here. Just want to let you know, just have your phones charged up. Just charge up anything you can here, because if this line continues at its intensity, we're probably going to have power outages here, at least scattered power outages across a good portion of the region here. So just a heads up here for those to the east of all this. And I'm also sharing this over to my story as well. So as I said, there's multiple different ways that you guys can be able to watch this information that can be able to help as well. So just a heads up here that we do have multiple areas of 67 mile an hour winds moving to the east. So again, here's some of the newest update I got here on the velocity. And as I said, this continues to strengthen. And I'll tell you, this is a really strong area of wind right here on the southeast side of Huntsville that's heading towards the Woodville area of Jackson County. So heads up there, and let's see what that looks like on let's query that. Yes, 72 right there. So that's a 72 mile an hour wind gust there near Owens Crossroads, Alabama, heading due east. So heads up out here towards Limrock, Woodville, the Aspel area, and eventually out here towards Scottsboro proper. You don't have a warning yet out in here in Scottsboro, but in Hollywood, but this is heading your way, so you will probably be included in the next severe thunderstorm warning. And then back up here to the north into Lincoln County, the worst of this is crossing over US 231, 431 right now, so it's now in the eastern half of the county, and it's heading basically due east towards the Franklin County line, so southern Moore County, and then eventually out here towards Huntland. So Huntland, here's your heads up. You got about 10 minutes or so, and then this will be heading to the east from there. So again, so heads up in Huntland, you got about 10 minutes until things go downhill, and in Belvedere, you get about 20 minutes before things go downhill there as well. In Lynchburg, you got about 10 minutes too, especially downtown. Now, farther west, this is on top of you, but at least in downtown Lynchburg, you got about 10 minutes there. And then up here to the north here, I'm still keeping a watch on this northern end of the line that's up here. Winds are starting to brighten up in here, which means that the wind speeds are starting to increase here as you get up here on the northwest side of Lynchburg and up towards Shelbyville here. So I am seeing some wind increase. So far, I'm only seeing 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, but that could very much change here in the next few minutes if this thing keeps strengthening. So even though you don't have a warning yet on the north side of Lynchburg and over here towards Tullahoma and Normandy Lake, you do run the risk of also some strong wind gusts here over the next 20 minutes to 40 minutes out that way. So again, these are the only warnings we got at this time. Again, we got other pop-up storms now starting to form. One right there over Rainsville there in DeKalb County, and then up there heading up Sand Mountain towards Henniger. Here's another downpour over Dalton, another over Somerville, but so far these are currently non-severe. And the whole movement of all this is directly from west to east. So as you can see, it's heading right in. I mean, the heaviest of all this is basically going to go right over us here. So just giving you your heads up. Now, up here farther north, if you are watching, especially from about McMinnville and Spencer north, the way it's looking right now up here towards the Upper Cumberland is you guys are actually looking in better shape. So it looks like the worst, the really bad stuff should stay just to your south. But again, I would still be on guard up in here just in case this northern edge does strengthen a little bit and change things up. But I'll be honest up here, if you go up here closer to Cookeville, I think you guys are pretty much clear up here towards I-40. But south of I-40, which includes the heart of our area, we're definitely not clear because we got this line of intense winds moving our way. And let's check on some of these scattered storms out ahead of this line and make sure we don't have any rotation or anything. So far, no, just some strong wind there on the northeast side of Rainsville there, heading up Highway 75 in DeKalb County, Alabama. So, again, that's the Sand Mountain area. Not seeing anything near Stevenson as far as severe wind goes. Nothing there. But, again, any little storm that pops up out ahead of this will still have to be monitored here. And let's see how this Calhoun one is doing. And, thankfully, that's not spinning either. So, that's the good news there. So that's when, again, like I say, we just got to make sure every storm is watched closely here today, just in case we were to get any kind of surprise spins or anything. So let's check back on velocity here and see what we got on the winds. As I said, this continues to be very intense here, and I'll query this over here across southeastern Lincoln County. Seeing some 63s, 64s, so still some 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, some 50 to 60 in there. Here's one north and south there, south of Mulberry that's heading to the east. Here's another very strong indication of damaging wind there moving into northwestern Moore County. And then up here, it weakens off a little bit here north of Shelbyville, but it's still strong up there. And really the strongest area right now, at least in my opinion, is right here. That's about to move into western Jackson County there around Rock. Seeing some indications here of a 70 to 71 mile an hour winds. And again, I said this is a big, really, it's almost like a bowling ball of energy right here. And that's what that's doing. It's a straight west to east wind. This is what we call the straight line winds, downburst winds west to east. And that is heading right at Scottsboro. So if you're in Scottsboro, I definitely would prepare to seek shelter here. If you're out on the water on the Tennessee River, if you know somebody that's out there, make sure they are getting indoors and getting away from windows here until this passes, because the good thing here is it's going to move through quick, so it'll be a fast mover. But unfortunately, those 5-10 minutes or so, they're going to be pretty rough. Now we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued for the eastern half of Marshall County, southern Jackson County, and also most and pretty much all of DeKalb County, Alabama. So that includes Fort Payne and all the Sand Mountain cities and towns, especially south of Ider. That's going to go in effect here. Let me get you a time on that. Looks like that's going to go in effect until about 3:30. Let me double check that time, make sure that's right. And that goes into effect, until 3:45. So 3:45 for southern Jackson County. So this one is south of Scottsboro for the southern storms that are on the southern edge of the line. And this is also for Guntersville and Albertville East. And this includes really the southern 75% of DeKalb County, except Ider. But I do believe you guys up in here on the north end of Sand Mountain towards Bryan and Higdon and all that, you will be eventually included in this warning too here down the road from this segment that's out here towards Woodville, because that does have 70 mile an hour winds in it. So here's a new scan up here. Just got a new scan, and the heaviest and leading edge of the damaging winds here is now across southeast Lincoln County, and it's just about to cross, if not crossing, into Moore County as we speak, and within probably about 5-10 minutes away from also crossing into western Franklin County. So let's see if we got a new scan here and see if anything's changed with the wind. And no, unfortunately, it's not really changed much. It's still showing some very intense winds. So on the southeast side of Flintville here, that actually did come down just a little bit, so that's some encouraging news. But again, a 58 mile an hour wind gust, that's still severe level. So that's still 50 to 60 mile an hour wind at least. That's heading towards the Huntland area. So seek shelter there. And also towards the south side of Belvedere. And again, you can tell these little bright pockets right here along this leading edge. That's where the most intense winds are going to be. So again, the brighter the color, the more intense the wind is within that leading edge. And I also want to note here, there's also lightning popping out ahead of this line in areas where it's barely raining. So that's why I say if you're outside somewhere, especially if you're out here on the area lakes, if you're out here towards Nickajack Lake, this is an early heads up for you to go ahead and get off the water here and seek safe shelter, because remember, lightning can strike up to several miles away from any given thunderstorm, and any lightning that strikes, no matter how far away it is from the storm, is very serious, and it can be deadly. So just make sure you're getting off the water out here. I mean, give it probably about 10-20 more minutes out here towards Chickamauga Lake, but you're pretty much going to be in that same category here in a few minutes of getting off the water. So again, you probably got about 20 more minutes out there before you really will need to head inside and head inside somewhere that's safe and get away from windows, from the wind and the lightning and such. And so far right now, I'm not seeing any indications of tornadoes or anything like that, so that's good news. So at least right now, I'm not seeing any kind of major tornado-producing storm, so that's some great news there. But again, that could change at any time. So as long as we continue to keep these winds along the leading edge and not too far out of the leading edge, we'll probably be able to avoid any tornadic issues. But again, I cannot rule out a small chance, granted it's a small chance, of maybe an isolated spin-up trying to form here along this leading edge. Again, if you're watching on Facebook here, make sure that you are sharing this out as well. Spread the word here, because we're probably going to be on here for a little bit, because here we got all these warnings ongoing. So help me out here and share this video out so we get as many eyeballs as we can, so that way folks can stay aware. And again, if you also prefer to watch on YouTube, I'm over there at Chase B Weather on my restream over there, so you can see that there too. So there's multiple different ways that you can be able to see what I'm doing here live. as these storms move off to the east. So again, right now, as I said, I don't see any imminent tornado concern, but what I'm seeing more of is the damaging straight line wind concern. And again, there are pockets in here, and I could put on the inspector tool for you here and show you that. See, there's a 66 there near Paint Rock, and here's another little strong indication right there. There's a 65 that ramped up there near Flintville, Tennessee. And then up here to the north, south of Lynchburg, that one's a 40. That's a 39. So that's non-severe to the north. Looks like a little red and green is trying to broadly spin here on the southeast side of Shelbyville. But to me, the way that looks, I'll check reflectivity, make sure that's not rotating. And it's trying, but so far, at least what I'm seeing there is more, and you can tell by this bow feature, that looks more like a downburst / straight line wind signature. So heads up out there towards Normandy, that's heading your way, and eventually towards Manchester, you got that strong thunderstorm moving in. Again, this is north of the warning area, not currently warned, but again, I just want to make sure that everybody is covered here. And then for those of you in Franklin County, get ready. It's on your doorstep here. I mean, this heavy wind and rain is on your doorstep. I mean, it's already raining out ahead of it, but it's about to get even heavier here, plus the wind as that moves from west to east. Again, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds are likely with this, and that does include the possibility of some, like I said, 60 to 70 mile an hour wind along with that torrential heavy rain and also the frequent lightning. And then down here to the south, same thing goes. So Scottsboro, I know you guys right now are not in a severe thunderstorm warning, but I believe that's going to change here pretty shortly because this wind continues to stay strong. That's over Paint Rock. And it's moving off to the east. So again, we're probably going to have several instances here of some wind damage and at least trees down, something like that. Now, they did downgrade this warning up here, at least from the considerable tag, so that's good news for those of you in Franklin County, but I'm still seeing some indications in here, and I can show you again on the inspector tool. There's still some 55 to 60 mile an hour gusts in here, so while that may not be in the considerable tag, that's still those are still severe level gusts that are moving off from west to east. So again, in Huntland, just make sure you're away from windows, and if you're in Winchester, I'd go ahead and start getting away from windows as well, and same with Cowan and Deckard and also the Estill Springs area. But farther east in Suwanee, you have a little bit more time to prepare, and same with Sherwood. You guys have a little bit more time to prepare for this too. But again, there's that new scan. As I said, the good thing here with these storms here is that they are moving quickly. They're not slowing down. They're not stalling or anything like that. This is a west to east, fast-moving line that's going to move through here fairly quickly. And once it's in and out, we don't have to worry about this anymore. Now, I do want to note real quick, while we're kind of in a small lull in between warnings here, at least right now, so we got these two warnings, but while we're kind of in this little lull here, I do want to mention that there's also the chance of another little small wave of thunderstorms that may affect at least parts of the area on a scattered basis here sometime after sunset tonight. But really, that part's the most uncertain part because we got to see what this line does as it moves through, how much energy it takes out. Hopefully, it takes out a lot of energy so to the point where we don't have to worry about later on tonight. But I do want to mention here, off the cuff here, that there is that another chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms after sunset, so basically after dark, and continuing through about early, and I'm talking pre-dawn to Sunday morning. So it'll be out of here before sunrise. But regardless of which, right now we gotta stay on the current situation here, and we'll worry about that a little bit later. But right now we still got some very intense winds here moving towards the Huntland area. Again, we're still seeing some 50 to 60 mile an hour winds here being indicated. So thankfully we're not seeing 70 anymore here along Highway 122. So that road right here runs down towards the Huntsville area and up from Huntland. And there's Beans Creek. You're in line for this also. Old Salem, Hickory Grove, Maxwell area. There's Belvedere. You're in line for these strong wind gusts. And same with downtown Winchester. So there's Broadview, Lexi Crossroads, Kissling Crossing. There's Deckard. Estill Springs, you're up for this. Beach Hill, this is on top of you right now. And it's pretty much about a minute or two away from crossing over Thames Ford Lake, I should say, as that moves off from west to east. And then down here to the south, some more heavy thunderstorms with severe winds possible extend from Collinsville to Crossville and Geraldine in Alabama. There's a new warning farther south that's out of the viewing area. But up here towards Grant, heavy rain and wind moving over. Langston section, Rainsville, get ready. This is moving overhead shortly. And Scottsboro, it's already pouring there, but it's about to get even heavier with the stronger wind over here. That's moving over Woodville. It's heading to it's heading to the east. And we're also getting some intensifying storms off just to the east of this out here towards north and east of Hollywood and out there towards the north end of Sand Mountain. And also another heavy storm that's popped up on the north side of Ringgold. So even out ahead of this, especially as this gust front kind of leaks out from the edge of these storms, it's going to allow more thunderstorms to probably pop out ahead of this that'll be scattered and hit or miss. So in any of these, if they can be able to fully develop, they could also become severe with that wind threat. And so far, they're more of downburst structure, so that's the good news. So at least we're not really having to worry, at least as far as about tornadoes at the moment. But again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens here over the next little bit. So just a heads up over here in areas that have not seen anything. I mean, I know it's been calm all day out here across southeast Tennessee, but things are about to get turbulent here within the next hour. So just giving you the heads up out here towards Marion County and Hamilton County and other areas in between. So again, I'm also checking to see if I'm missing any reports or anything. I'm good on YouTube. Let's see here. And the good news is, as I said, Smithville area. Got a question here about Smithville. This is staying well south of there, so you guys are going to be good up there. I'm actually going to go ahead and give you guys an all clear up there by I-40 because I don't see anything severe happening up there. The worst of this is staying south of you. How long before it gets to Colmont? Probably about an hour. Starting to rain in Scottsboro. Rain and thunder in Estill Springs, but no wind at all. The wind is to your west still, so it'll probably start picking up here within the next 10 minutes or so, I would say. Any chance of tornadoes in McMinnville? Very low. I won't say zero, but it's very low. Talking Rock, Georgia. I know that's technically outside of my main coverage area, but you will also be seeing these severe storms down the road here. This is and for those that are new to the area, Talking Rock is down here south of Ellijay, down near Jasper, Georgia. Monteagle's getting dark with some distant thunder. How's Winchester looking tornado-wise? No tornado in Winchester. I want to stress that. I mean, sirens might be going off up there considering it's a severe thunderstorm warning. I wouldn't be surprised, but there is no tornado threat in Winchester at this time. Any of this coming to Monteagle? Yes. Unfortunately, yes, you do have storms heading your way. Tornado possibility, Scottsboro area, I don't see that this time. And just speaking of Scottsboro and Winchester, we now have a new severe thunderstorm warning for 50 to 60 mile an hour winds that goes in effect through the next hour. So let me get that information that just came out. It's brand new, so the polygon may take a second to load up on my end. It's already uploaded up there, but I want to make sure you guys can see that radar. It says here, severe thunderstorm warning for Jackson County, so all of Jackson County in Alabama, northeastern DeKalb County in Alabama, eastern Moore County, and all of Franklin County. So all of Franklin County, north, south, east, west, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. All of Jackson County, west, south, west, east, south, north. You guys are all under a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:45. Says here, 250 severe thunderstorm was located along a line extending from near Lynchburg to 6 miles east of Woodville. Movement of that is off to the east at 50 miles an hour. Hazard is 60 mile an hour wind gusts. It's radar indicated. And here are the locations that are in the path of this line of thunderstorms. It includes Scottsboro, Winchester, Bridgeport, Deckard, Henniger, Estill Springs, Stevenson, Cowan, Hollywood, and Huntland. It says here, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. As I said, treat these severe thunderstorm warnings seriously, and I'll be honest with you, considering how strong the winds are, these are what we call, and at least what I'm calling these hallway storms. In other words, these are more likely seek shelter in your hallway kind of storms that are away from windows. Not necessarily tornado shelters, but to the point where you just need to just ride this out somewhere for at least 20 minutes or so and wait till this passes. So it's just a recommendation here because, again, when you have strong straight line winds blowing in from west to east like this, they can cause tree damage, and you just want to make sure you're in a good place that's away from windows and outside walls and such. So, again, I'm also posting this warning out here on social media, so on my Facebook, so I also have a post up on there about it. But again, as I said, continue to share this live, considering this is getting closer to the core of our viewing area here. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but this line is really starting to ramp up here as it's approaching the higher elevations here. So what I believe is happening here is we're probably getting some influence here of higher elevation being involved. So when these storms go up these mountains, what can happen sometimes, and unfortunately this has actually really hurt us this year on a lot of severe weather events, it's allowed them to strengthen as opposed to weaken. So sometimes you get that little that upward motion, and that's all sometimes these storms need, is that extra kick. And that's what is leading to the strengthening. That's what's probably helping leading to the strengthening of storms. And also, another factor too is out here to the east, towards Chattanooga in particular, it's gotten up to like 87 degrees today. I mean, it's hot out there. It feels like June. I mean, it's very hot. It's very unstable. I mean, the atmosphere is very unstable in response, and that's why we're seeing these strong thunderstorms. Unfortunately, we're paying a price for these hot temperatures because this is what we're having to deal with, because we got a cool front approaching, and that's what's setting off this squall line here. Now, looking at the wind data here, and I want to keep in mind here, it looks lower on here, it looks weaker on here, and a part of the reason why it does is because we're getting closer to the high top radar. So when you get close to the radar site, it goes lower. Remember, the farther out the radar goes, the higher it shoots up in the clouds to detect, rain droplets and wind and all that. Considering this is getting closer to the radar site, the beam is not going as high, so it may kind of contaminate the velocity for a little bit and make it look like it's really weak. But if you can see here, I mean, especially on the reflectivity, I mean, this really tells the story right here. A gradually strengthening line is crossing over the southern Cumberland Plateau in northwestern Jackson and southern Franklin counties, and it's moving off to the from west to east towards Marion and Grundy counties. Now up here towards Tullahoma, this is strengthening up here, I'm noticing, so get ready for some strong winds and torrential rain. I mean, just look at when you get this dark red and you get this pink right here, that's just torrential rain that's moving up into the Tullahoma area and also Estill Springs. So I said it's already raining out ahead of this, but it gets even heavier down right now. We have a new warning here. This is for Marion County. So for those of you in Marion County, you now have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect through the next hour. So that goes in effect, and let me get you the time frame on that. I believe, I could be wrong, I believe that's 4 o'clock. Let me double check. And no, it's 3:45 p.m. Central, 4:45 Eastern, but either way, through the next hour. And then here's the new warning information. Severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending from near Estill Springs, right here, to 10 miles southeast of Huntland, right here, down to Scottsboro on the very far south of the screen. These are moving east at 50 miles an hour. Hazard is 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It is radar indicated. Locations in the path of this include Chattanooga, Jasper, South Pittsburgh, Whitwell, Kimball, Mont Eagle, Palace Crossroads, Orme, Martin Springs, and the Fiery Gizzard. So those are all the locations that are in the path of this dangerous and severe storm. So again, severe thunderstorm warning for far southwestern Hamilton County, including the southwest side of Chattanooga. So Lookout Valley, Tiftonia area, Raccoon Mountain, Elder Mountain, those areas, you guys are under that severe thunderstorm warning until 3:45 p.m. Central. That is 4:45 Eastern Time, and it includes all of Marion County. So we have 3 entire counties under warnings right now. Franklin County, all of Franklin County, all of Jackson County, and all of Marion County, all through the next hour, and also all of DeKalb County, Alabama as well. So I don't want to forget about you guys. So all of DeKalb County, all of Jackson County, all of Franklin, and all of Marion County. All of you have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect through the next hour for the potential of 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. So again, if you haven't charged your devices yet, I would go ahead and do that out ahead of this, because these are very strong storms that will probably produce the potential for at least scattered tree damage and possibly even some power outages in some areas. So, and again, I cannot rule out the chance that along this leading edge of this line, you may get a gust that increases a little higher that could maybe get up towards closer to the 70 mile an hour range. So definitely stay on guard here across a good portion of Franklin and Jackson, DeKalb, and Marion counties, because this is heading your way. And also Grundy County, I know you and Coffee County don't have a warning right now, and same with Warren, but you do also have strong thunderstorms heading in your direction too. That could produce some strong wind gusts and heavy rain, lightning too. So again, even though you don't have a warning up here, just want to make sure that you're alert and aware. And, well, I should have never said that, because we now have a warning for your area. So this northern end of the line by Tullahoma has really strengthened. So all of Grundy County, all of Coffee County, and most of Warren County, you now have a severe thunderstorm warning until 4 o'clock. So again, we pretty much a good portion of the tri-state's under a warning right now of some kind. And also a new warning that's just been issued for southern Walker County and Chattooga County, Georgia, until 4:45 p.m. Eastern. So We got a whole chunk of warnings right now that cover the western half of our area, especially west of Chattanooga here, but it's going to include probably the majority of the rest of us here as this line continues to move off to the east and strengthen. So those of you in Warren County, so McMinnville south, that's where the severe weather danger is. So draw a line from McMinnville and go all the way south down through Alabama and Georgia. That's going to be the main zone in here where everybody will be seeing the potential for severe weather. So again, I got a lot of warnings here to share out here real quick. So just a heads up there. So I'll read those counties again. That's going to be for Coffee County, Warren, and Grundy counties until 4 o'clock. Severe thunderstorms located along the line extending from 11 miles northeast to Shelbyville to near Tullahoma, moving east at 40 miles an hour. Hazard is 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. Sources radar indicated, and here are all the locations that are in the path, and there's a lot of them. McMinnville, Manchester, Tullahoma, Grutley Logger, Tracy City, Monteagle, Altamont, Colmont, Morrison, Palmer, Wartrace, Beersheba Springs, Normandy, Viola, Ross, Summitville, Hillsboro, Pelham, Arnold Air Force Base, and Fiery Gizzard. And this also includes I-24 between mile markers 98 and 136. So those are the areas right now that do have severe thunderstorms in their area right now, or at least will be approaching within less than an hour. So just a heads up in those areas I just mentioned there, you do have a severe thunderstorm warning that runs in effect here until 4 o'clock up here, 3:45, 4:45 for everybody else. So Franklin, Marion, Jackson, DeKalb, Eastern Marshall. I'll go and give you an all clear down here. So Marshall County, you're good. This is to your east. Also, if you're out west of Winchester, so out there towards Broadview and the western sides of Timms Ford Lake and down towards Huntland, you're clear from this. Moore County and Lincoln County, you guys are good. This is to your east now. So, as I said, I'm giving you guys an all clear because the worst of this is to your east. Now, so the main threat now is for basically along the line from Tullahoma, Winchester, Scottsboro, Collinsville, and east. That's the main danger zone at this time. So just from a geographical standpoint, that's who's involved in this. So again, I'm also getting out warnings here. As I said, there's just a lot of activity here. I mean, unfortunately, we just got a lot. And there's also a pretty heavy thunderstorm there moving up towards the McMinnville area that currently is not severe. Now, the one that's moving into McMinnville is non-severe. So that's not the one being warned on. This part back here is the one that's being warned on. The stuff you see over Tullahoma moving towards Manchester, that's what's being warned on. Not this cell towards McMinnville. I mean, it's a heavy cell, don't get me wrong, but the thing is with that one is not being warned on. That one up there, it's the one to the west. So again, as I said, we got multiple counties under severe thunderstorm warnings, and as I said, as long as this line continues its strength, we're going to continue to see more and more counties get added to this this warning. And pretty much the whole area except Cookeville and Crossville is all under a severe thunderstorm watch. So these are all the areas right now that are being involved in the danger. So let's check out velocities here and see if they're coming up a little bit better on here. And as I said, we're in the ground clutter here, so it's a little more difficult to see. But again, where you see the bright red in here and even some of the bright green, that's going to be the areas where we see the potential for damaging winds. As I said, it's pretty much all along this line. I mean, it's everywhere. It's not just one spot. It's practically everywhere. So just giving you your heads up here for those areas. So all areas in between. So the eastern half of Jackson County. So draw a line basically from 79 and east all the way out here to Dade County. Now you don't have a warning in Dade County yet, but it's coming. These storms are heading your way. So just make sure you're seeking shelter in those areas until this passes. Now, as I said, this is going to be the possibility of also some, maybe a little bit of pea-sized hail, but right now I'm not seeing anything that really looks concerning at this time, at the moment. But the good thing is I'm not seeing tornadoes, so that's good. But as I said, you got to take these seriously because we still got some potential for some straight line winds. Now, down here towards the DeKalb County here, this warning, this cell is actually weakened a good bit down here in northeast Alabama, specifically around the DeKalb County. But this is still a pretty strong storm, and that warning was just updated. So they took Marshall out of it, and it's now strictly DeKalb and southern Jackson on this end. The rest of Jackson County has a warning for this segment that's coming out of Skyline and High Top. It's heading towards Stevenson and Bridgeport. So If you're outside of Stevenson and Bridgeport, I would definitely get indoors because you do have severe thunderstorms moving in right now. I mean, within the next 10 to roughly 20 minutes. So it says here the wind just got really crazy in Winchester. Crazy wind on Highway 16. So again, Road Gap Road's getting hammered right now. Pretty much all of Winchester and Deckard, you guys are also getting hammered with this. And again, all the way up here towards Tullahoma. So all this up in here that was non-severe earlier, this segment of the line up here in Coffee County, that has also now been declared severe. So, as I said, we got multiple areas that we're watching for the possibility of significant wind damage here from 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give a couple of storm tracks here real quick since I haven't done that in a little bit. That'll save up some time here. Also, I don't want to forget about, for those of you down towards Lafayette and Summerville, Georgia, you also have a severe storm warning. So what I'm going to do here real quick is go kind of north to south here. We'll do a couple of segments at a time here. So we'll do Coffee and out here towards northern Grundy and Warren County first. And let me make sure I have the speed on that real quick. And that's moving to the east there at 40. That one's moving at 40, so let's time it from there. Again, Fredonia and Coffee County there around 308. Manchester around 311. White Oaks around 312. Summitville around 317. Bryan Mill around 321. Hillsboro around 322. Morrison around 325. Viola around 327. Centertown around 333. Altamont, North Cuts Cove around 336, 338. McMinnville, downtown, around 339. Irving College around 340. Beersheba around 343. And Curtistown around 351. So now let's check the southern end of this line. So let's head down here and we'll actually track the Marion side. Excuse me, the southern Marion and the southern Grundy and Marion side. So we'll track that from there. And we'll track that due east. Let me update that because that's just moved. And I'll give an extra heads up here at 50 once that's complete. So, excuse me there. I don't know why it went southeast there, but let me fix that. There we go. 50 miles an hour to the east. Had to get that right there. Wilder Chapel at 307. Alto there around 308. Ruffledge Hill 309, Rorke's Cove 311, Calls in Coffee County there around 311, University View around 314, so Swanee and Pelham also around 314, 315, 315 in Mott Eagle, Payne Cove around 317, Hillsboro around 316. Again, this is from the southern edge of this line. Tracy City and Summerfield around 320, Klaus Hill around 318, Martin Springs and Marion County around 322, Hobbs Hill around 323, Sherwood around 324. Colmont and White City around 325. Down here towards Smithtown at 330. Grutley Logger around 330. 331 in Orem. Kimball around 335. South Pitt around 335. 336 in Little Squatchy. So Squatchy Mountain will be about 5 minutes sooner. 336 in Jasper. Victoria around 337. Whitwell at 338. East Hill around 339, Kettner's Mill 340, Crossroads at 340, and then Lads and Doss around 343. So that's the timing on that line. And then let's get down here towards Sand Mountain, so basically Fort Payne and up towards the north and east from there. And we'll also track this out here towards Dade and parts of Walker County. And again, that segment is also moving to the northeast. Let me get you the updated on that. That's moving northeast again at 50. And according to emergency management, that's confirmed. So the 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Jackson County are confirmed by emergency management. So Pisgah around 311. Rosalie around 317. Again, this is Jackson, DeKalb counties in Alabama here. Sylvania around 317. Henniger around 318. Fackler around 319. Also down here, Eider, 323 for you. Stevenson and Flat Rock around 324. Valley Head and Mentone basically around 328, 330, 329 in Fort Payne. Actually, it's already on top of you there right now in Fort Payne. Mentone there around 330, Higdon around 332. And as I said, these could be off by about 5-10 minutes, so just subtract 5 or 10 minutes from the rest of this. But Rising Fawn around 333. Again, these times are in Central, so Eastern time, that'd be 4:33 in Rising Fawn, Georgia. Rocky Springs at 4:44. Bridgeport, Alabama, 3:34 p.m. Central Time. So heads up in Bridgeport. It's heading your way. Trenton, Georgia, 4:39 p.m. Eastern. 3:39 p.m. Central in South Pittsburgh from this segment. And there's multiple segments along this line you got to watch out for here. New Hope, Tennessee, Marion County, around 3:40. And down here towards Kimball, 3:43. Kensington, Cooper Heights, 3:44. That's 4:44 Eastern. And then down the list also here is, let's see some areas I haven't mentioned yet. Tryon, around 3:48. Wildwood and Lafayette, around 3:49. So that's for these southern segments. As I said, I just did some long storm tracks here, so those of you just out ahead of this can be alert as to what is heading your way. Now let's check and see if the winds have really increased or decreased any. So I'll jump over here to max 2 again, and it looks like Jackson County is intensifying. Yes, it is. So it's coming out of that radar ring now. We're really seeing the winds a little bit better on here, at least as far as being able to detect them. And seeing some widespread 50 to 60 mile an hour downburst winds approaching Stevenson as we speak. So Stevenson and Bridgeport, make sure you're sheltered, at least away from windows. Also, another area of very strong wind is approaching I-24 and actually crossing I-24 right now over the Hillsborough and Pelham areas, and that's moving into Grundy County as we speak. So heads up here in southern Grundy County. Widespread damaging winds are moving in shortly. Again, as I said, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds is the rule with this. And then down here across the eastern Franklin County, Cowan's getting the brunt of this right now, and it's also heading up into Suwanee and Sherwood. So heads up in Mott Eagle. This is also heading your way. I'm not sure why this computer does not have a Mott Eagle highlighted there. There it is. But again, if you're in Mott Eagle right in here, you guys are next up for this too. And if you're out here towards Winchester and Deckard, the worst is passed to your east. So if you're out here towards Estill and Winchester, Deckard, down to Huntland, and even Tullahoma, you guys are in good shape now. The worst is to your east now. And then let's check on this other warning here. I'm also seeing some more storms that are intensifying right along Lookout Mountain and Dade and Walker counties and south into Chattooga County, Georgia. Again, these are starting to strengthen, so I would not be surprised down the road if they continue to strengthen. We may get warnings for these individual storms out ahead of the line. Again, rain's picking up in Jasper, rain's picking up in South Pitt out ahead of this line, and also in Grundy County. But this part right here is non-severe. What you have to be most concerned about right here is this line in here. I said it's a fairly skinny line here, but it's a very intense one, and it's moving off something like this. So all areas will be getting this damaging wind threat here over the next hour. So that's what I'm saying. All areas will be getting this. I mean, no one, at least in the southern half of Tennessee, will be spared from this. But again, as I said, if you're along in south, if you're south of a McMinnville-Spencer line, points south, you all run the risk for severe weather. Up north towards Smithville and Sparta and Cookeville, you have no threat. But south of there, that's the main danger zone. So let's see if we got any other updates here. Let's see if we got any new wind. And as I said, this continues to strengthen. I mean, look at this here west of Stevenson. This is really tightening up. There's a 64. Yeah, it's a 64 mile an hour wind gust being indicated. It's at least above on Doppler radar. And we're looking at it at a pretty good range as it's moving away from the high top radar. So definitely the potential for some intense downburst winds getting ready to approach Highway 72 here in northeastern Jackson County and heading up into the north side of Stevenson and also into the Bridgeport area. And this may also clip portions of South Pitt and New Hope here. So heads up there and also in northwestern Dade County on the Dade County side of Sand Mountain. And then up here to the north, Highway 56 is basically getting hammered hard here up and down the mountain here. So Highway 56 through Suwanee and Sherwood. This is the area I'm also seeing some very intense winds moving over right now in Pelham. This is pretty much on top of you right now. So right along 41 here, there's Highway 64. That right there is Highway 50 there. That goes right up the mountain there. And also towards Payne Cove and Elkhead. You guys are next up. And then up here along Highway 108 from Colmont east to Grootley and Palmer. Very strong winds heading your direction. And now, I know I haven't mentioned much about Dunlap or Pikeville or Dayton or Chattanooga here because you haven't had anything ongoing yet. But this line of thunderstorms is heading your way. So Spencer, this is heading your way. Pikeville, Dunlap, Chat, Saudi, Dayton, Decatur, Spring City, even Cleveland. This is all heading your way over the next hour to hour and a half here. So here's your heads up. Also, Dade and Walker counties, you now have a severe thunderstorm warning. That's just been issued for your area. So you now have a new severe thunderstorm warning for 60 mile an hour wind gusts until 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern. That's 4 o'clock Central Time. At 4:13 Eastern Time, severe thunderstorms are located along the line extending from Jericho in Jackson County to near Fackler to near Scottsboro, moving east at 55 miles an hour, so it's flying. Hazard is 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, source is radar indicated. Those of you in the path of this storm in Dade and Walker counties include Trenton, Lafayette, Chattanooga Valley, Rising Fawn, Coal City, Wildwood, Stevensville, Linwood, New England, Morganville, Hooker, Cloudland Canyon, and Cooper Heights. Those are the areas in the path of that. So there's a lot of people under warnings right now. So let me tell you who's in the warnings. Franklin, Coffee, Warren, Grundy, Jackson, DeKalb, Dade, Walker, and Chattooga. Those are the following counties under warnings at this time. But as this line continues to progress east, we're going to likely have more areas be under warning. So if you're in Sequatchie County and Bledsoe and Van Buren and Hamilton and Catoosa, you're probably going to get put under severe thunderstorm warnings as long as this line continues to hold together. I mean, it's very widespread here. So as I said, if you're in Dade and Walker counties, you now have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that goes in effect until 4 o'clock p.m. Central. That's 5 o'clock Eastern Time. So the good thing here is this line's going to be speeding through pretty quickly. So once it moves through, the threat from this will be ending. I mean, there will be the chance for more storms later tonight after sunset, but there's some uncertainty here on how that's going to evolve. So, but for right now, let's focus on what we got imminent, what the imminent danger here, and it's this line of storms that's moving from west to east here across northeast Alabama into Franklin and Grundy counties and also Coffee County and moving east from there. Again, as I said, areas that I've just mentioned here, you all have warnings in effect through the next 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes roughly. So just make sure you're seeking shelter here, away from windows and all that in between here, and wait until this passes. So also here is Manchester. It's in Manchester now. Severe storms incoming, yes. So Rock Island, this is also heading your way. Again, Grundy County, I'll repeat that. You're under a warning. Thundering and lightning right now in Dade County. Rossville, you're not in the warning yet, but this is heading your way. My phone keeps going off in Morrison and McMinnville for a warning. You do have a severe thunderstorm warning in Warren County up there in McMinnville, but you don't have a tornado warning. So I want to stress this. There are no tornado warnings in effect right now. So, and also thanks to Heather for letting me know this. McMinnville fires up the sirens for severe thunderstorms as well as tornadoes. So, but again, I just want to stress, if you're in Franklin County or if you're in Warren County and your sirens are going off, I want to just reiterate here that you do not have a tornado warning. This is a severe thunderstorm warning with the potential of 50 to 60 mile-an-hour wind gusts. So let's get back into these areas here real quick and start south and work north. Again, a very intense area of wind going right over the Gorham's Bluff area of Jackson County, heading up towards Flat Rock. Again, this is a very significant downburst being indicated by Doppler radar, and it's moving right over that area. So 66 mile-an-hour wind gusts being indicated there, and it's moving to the northeast. And check out this north of Stevenson. Ooh, boy. 78. Now, remember, that's a loft, but, man, that's a very damaging wind gust there heading up towards Bridgeport. So you do run the potential for 70 mile-an-hour winds in Bryant and Bridgeport. So make sure you are seeking shelter there away from windows up there. That's a bad deal right there. That's heading up basically right up 72. And if this holds together, you folks in New Hope and here towards Big Daddy's and South Pittsburgh up in here, you guys will be next in line to see this too. So up here towards the lake, make sure you're off Nickajack Lake up here. If there's anybody out there, get off the lake, get sheltered up here. And also northern Dade County. This will also this could also impact the northwestern end of Dade County too. Grundy County, your winds are also strengthening here, at least according to Doppler radar. Winds have ramped up to 50 to 60 along this line. So again, the colors are getting brighter here. And as I said earlier, when the colors get brighter, that's a sign that the winds are increasing. Winds are still a little elevated up in here that are moving towards McMinnville and Morrison right now out of Manchester. You're still in the warning, though, so as long as you're under this severe thunderstorm warning, still follow through with precautions in case this were to re-strengthen. So really the most intense part of these storms right now is mainly from Hillsboro all the way down through Stevenson and Bridgeport and extending down to the east side of Fort Payne. Those are the areas right now that have the most intense activity at this time. So Like I say, continue to share this live video. If you have to tag some people in the comments that are in these warnings in portions of Jackson and Dade, Walker, Chattooga, Marion, Grundy counties, feel free to do so. Again, I had that option open for you to be able to tag people that are involved in this. That way they're staying aware. So again, you're free to tag whoever you feel that needs to be tagged out ahead of this. So again, I have that option in the comment section on Facebook. Now on YouTube, unfortunately there's not that option on the YouTube side. But again, if you also want to watch on YouTube here, I'm also live on there. That's Chase B Weather on YouTube. So I have that option too, and you can also cast it to your TV on there. So again, there's multiple ways you could be able to watch this coverage, without much interruption. I mean, there may be a very small delay on the YouTube side at least, but it's not really much different from what I'm seeing here. It's just I'm using a different resource for it. So just a little bit of a note there. But again, very strong indications of damaging winds. And notice here, they're in these little pockets right here. There's these little scattered pockets here. You got the bright orange colors here. You got the bright white here. I mean, they're pretty much scattered up and down this line. So it's kind of like hit or miss on this. So if you get under one of these heavier, brighter reds or oranges here, you're going to really get the brunt of the strong winds here. And again, those wind gusts, isolated pockets in there, you could see gusts get up to 70 in that. I mean, an isolated pocket in here. I mean, the 70-mile part is very isolated. Most areas will see 50 to 60. But as I said, there's an isolated pocket, and these brighter pockets in here, you do have run that risk with the potential of some 60 to 70-mile-an-hour winds as well. Now, again, the lightning is also increased to the south, so in our Alabama areas here along Sand Mountain, the lightning's increased. That's also another indication of an intensifying storm. Lightning is also increased up across western Marion and into Grundy County, so when you have an increase in lightning, that typically means an intensifying storm. So, as I said, I mean, make sure you're inside and you're away from windows. And what I'm going to do here, if you're in Franklin County, I'm going to give you an all clear from this. If you're in Franklin County, you are good. The worst of this storm is to your east now. So if you're in Franklin County, you guys are good. You do not have to worry about severe weather from this anymore. In Manchester, I'm going to give you the all clear. And since, even though Woodbury has a heavy storm up there, you don't have a warning up there, so you're clear. Also, Smithville, you're good. And also Cookeville, y'all are good. So the far northern areas of our area, you guys are clear up in those areas, but nobody else is. So Marion and Grundy and Sand Mountain and Points East, you guys are not clear yet. The worst is unfortunately yet to come out of this as this moves off to east. Let's check and see if we got a new velocity update here and see what we got on the winds. Again, Bridgeport is just about to get slammed here. There's 277 right there. So let's get down here into street level. So Megan Street, 255, that's County Road 255. There's Broadway Avenue. So you got the Hardys and all that's right there on the west side of Bridgeport. There's Jacobs Avenue, 8th Street, 7th Street, Battery Hill. And that's where that little bridge is that goes across the river right there, that little walking bridge where the railroad tracks are. That's going to be the area where this heavy wind goes over here very shortly. So 60 to 70-mile-an-hour wind being indicated there. Also up here, Orr Mountain. So basically South Pitt Mountain Road area heading towards Sweetens Cove. This is in Marion County, Tennessee. This is where I'm seeing also some 50 to 60-mile-an-hour winds heading right down 156. So right down the South Pitt Mountain here towards Sweetens Cove. And then eventually South Pitt proper, and up towards Kimball, Jasper Highlands, and the town of Jasper. In Grundy County, Mott Eagle, Tracy are getting the heavy brunt of the wind here. If it's not Tracy City or Colmont, it'll be there pretty much in seconds. Again, this little spot right here near west of Colmont Elementary there may be, that's a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust being indicated there on Doppler radar. And here's another one also west of west of Altamont right now, heading towards Altamont. So Grundy County, you're getting the worst of it. And as I said, up here further north, still not seeing anything really impressive up here towards Morrison and McMinnville. But again, the winds are still going to probably get gusty up there. But it does appear the really bad stuff is likely going to stay to your south as far as the worst of the wind goes. And then down here across Sand Mountain here, I mean, some very intense winds in here. As I said, probably 60 to 70 in this corridor, heading up towards Flat Rock, Sulphur Springs, and up here towards Overlook, Higdon, Shiloh area, and then eventually Dade County. So Rising Fawn and Trenton, this huge area of 60 to 70-mile-an-hour wind here being indicated by Doppler radar is heading your way. So this is your heads up to go ahead and head inside and be away from windows. And they just updated this warning, and Dade County has been upgraded to considerable. So Walker and Dade counties, your severe thunderstorm warning has been upgraded to the considerable tag. So that means considerable tree damage and power outages are possible. I mean, these winds are continuing to strengthen here as they move across Sand Mountain, and this area in western Marion County continues to strengthen as well. Let's see how this looks near Orem. 66. So I think we're getting close to a considerable tag on this too, as that moves right down the mountain here towards Sweetens Cove. So if you know anybody out here, Kimball, South Pitt, just make sure they're sheltered inside. I mean, and it matches up very well with the reflectivity. So some very strong straight line winds here, moving towards Highway 72, heading towards Main Street in Kimball and Jasper. Very strong winds in this area. Also a little squatchy, watch out. Nickajack Lake, you're up next. Haletown, Whitwell, you guys are also up next. And up here towards Grundy County, it's really bowing out up in here. You can kind of see these little bulges right here. Very strong indication of damaging wind. That's a classic indicator of damaging wind when you see a bow like that. Let's make sure these are not trying to spin, because they're trying to show little C shapes. And so far I'm not seeing any indications of spin, thankfully. But we're seeing some very strong returns here of damaging wind potential. There's one west of Altamont there of a 60 gust. There's a 60 mile an hour gust there west of pretty much close to Grundy County High School. And up here to the south near Mont Eagle on the southeast side of town, as you're coming up the mountain there, 59. And then also, check on the Bridgeport area here real quick. 69 mile an hour gust there. That's a 66, 68. That's heading up into the Bryan area. And then also down here, check this out, that's also a 66, 60, and there's a 71 being indicated, moving up towards Flat Rock, Alabama. So, and in DeKalb County, it starts lessening a little bit the farther south you go towards Valley Head in Alabama, but even there, it's still going to be pretty intense. So again, we got multiple spots along this line, specifically in Marion, Grundy, and northeastern Jackson counties, that have the potential for 60 to 70 mile an hour winds along this leading edge. Most areas typically will see 50 to 60, but there are pockets in here where we could have some gusts get a little higher than that, upwards in the 70 mile an hour range, which is the considerable range. That's the considerable damage potential range. So as I say, you got to take this seriously here and make sure you're away from windows until this passes. So again, Bridgeport's storming there. Major thunder in Rossville, no rain yet, but this is heading your way up there. And looks like they just updated this warning up here for Grundy County. Nothing much has changed there. That warning remains in effect for the next 30 minutes. So again, Warren County, you remain under that severe thunderstorm warning. I know the storms are looking weaker up that way, but you still got that warning up there in the McMinnville area through about another 33 minutes. But the strongest, really strong stuff is just south of you in Grundy County. So really, as I said, Grundy, Marion, and northeastern Jackson counties are currently, and even Dade County too, these are the areas that are currently under the gun for the strongest winds. Again, like I say, continue to let me know what you're seeing, let me know what reports and everything else you're seeing, so that way it'll help with verifying and seeing what's happening here at the surface, because it's great to have the radar too, but also it really helps also when we get the ground confirmation or whatever not, so that will also help too. So just send in your reports in the comments if you don't mind. I'll see that. Also, some really nasty winds developing towards Bryan, Alabama. Check this out. It's hard to see probably on the screen, but that says 80.5. So that right there will cause damage. I mean, that kind of wind, you get to 80 miles an hour in that, and this is over Bryan, Alabama right now. If you get a gust of 80, that right there is up to about the speed of an EF1 tornado. And not just that, but that can take a roof off a mobile home. I mean, that could hurt a mobile home right there. So if you're in northwestern Dade County, just be aware. And if you're anywhere in that area, as I said, that went up to 82. So this is definitely the considerable level of wind here that's moving right up atop the Bryan area and points east. And let me tell you, up here towards Marion County, you're not immune. This is strengthened as well. Now we're seeing a 66 approaching I-24 in Jasper Highlands right now. So that's where we're seeing 60 to 70 up in here. So I know the warning still says 60, but I think it's a little higher than that now, probably more, at least 65, as that moves across I-24 and towards Kimball and Jasper. And up here towards Grundy County again real quick. Still seeing at least 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. I'm not really seeing 70 as much up in here anymore, at least not in Grundy County. But I am seeing 50 to 60, which is still severe up in here, crossing over Highway 56, heading down 108, and also 399. Now, they just updated the warning here. In Marion County, you've been upgraded to a considerable damage tag severe thunderstorm warning for 70 mile an hour winds. So again, if you're in Marion County, your warning remains in effect for another 16 minutes, and you have been upgraded to the wind damage threat considerable tag because these winds have increased. As I said, we're seeing 60 to 70 mile an hour winds here being indicated, crossing I-24 right now and moving up into Jasper Highlands and moving towards the Jasper area. Hopefully it weakens before then. Hopefully we can get that thing to weaken, but right now, the most important thing is you just got to make sure you're sheltered and away from windows here because this is going to likely cause power outages and such. And this down here to the south, I mean, this is really impressive down here. Right over the Bryan, Alabama area. Check that out. That's gotten up to 84. That's an 84 mile an hour wind gust being indicated on Doppler radar. A little high up, but again, very close to the surface here, not too far up. That's a very strong wind gust of 84 being indicated. So New Home, Coal City, Whiteside area of Marion County, Lads, towards Hooker, Wildwood, Morganville. Make sure you are away from windows until that passes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to give a track on all of this. So we'll track the area, and I'll actually change this into cell mode because then we're actually tracking some of the individual stuff here. And again, Grundy County, you got 50 to 60 mile an hour winds real quick. I just want to drop that reminder. But again, right here is what I want to track. So let me double check the movement on that, and it's moving east at 55. So let's actually pull ahead and do a 60 here just to give some extra warning. Coal City there at 4:30, so it's on top of you right now, basically. 3:36, excuse me, in Whiteside. 4:39 Eastern Time in Hooker. 4:40 there in Wildwood. Lookout Mountain around the 4:43. That's Lookout Mountain, Georgia. Lookout Mountain, Tennessee around 4:44 Eastern. Also Ruby Falls around 4:45. 4:47 in Rossville, Lakeview area around Lake Winnie at 4:49. Get inside if you're at Lake Winnie. 4:50 in Red Bank, downtown Chattanooga 4:50, East Ridge at 4:50, and then down towards Camp Jordan in East Ridge around 4:53. That's for this very strong area of wind that I'm seeing on Doppler radar that has the potential of producing upwards of 80 mile an hour winds within that area. Up here, here's the part that's producing the 60 to 70. Up in Marion County, let's double check the speed here because they just updated it. It's moving east at 45, but again, as I said earlier, I'm going to update that at 50. So that way you can get an advance notice here. And actually, I'll do a line track on that because it's a little more linear up here as opposed to cellular. So let's go with that. Let me get that off the screen here real quick. Here we go. So that's going to move kind of northeast there, and I'm going to put that at 50. Again, little squatchy there at 3:39, so make sure you're sheltered there. Jasper, it'll be on your doorstep in less than 10 minutes, so make sure you're sheltered there away from windows. So they're around 3:40 there. Around also close to 3:40 in the Whitwell area. 3:43 also in Kettner Mill. Inman around 3:43, and also Powell's Crossroads around 3:45. And let me see, make sure I'm not missing anything else on here. Let's see here. There was also something down to the south here, but I just didn't see that. But again, real quick here, this is the area that I'm seeing right now. Right over New Home and Coal City here is where I'm seeing the really strong indications of damaging winds also. So right here is a New Home Road, Avery Road. This is where in northwest Georgia here. This is Dade County. New Home Loop, you're in the path of that. And then here's Sligo Road right here. So there's Sligo Road. You're in the path of that dangerous storm. And then also up here towards Whiteside, you're also in line of this. Up here towards Murphy Hollow Road. And then now you're towards the 59 split. That's the area of danger. And then up here in Marion County, again, let's get down here. Here's Main Street right here. There's the Memorial Gardens. There's where the doctor's offices and all that are. Chat State. That's up for this damaging wind threat. Getting close up here to the old middle school and out here towards the square. Here's the Jasper Square right here. There's Ingalls, there's DQ, up here towards the high school, elementary school, all that up in here. Here's Pryor Cove, heavy wind about to hit Pryor Cove, and up here along Valley View. Here's 41, so Foster Falls is getting the brunt of this right now too. The worst of it's now pulled out of Tracy City, so you guys are good there now. Colmont, it's pretty much to your east for the most part, but it's still going really hard up there in Palmer and Grootley. Again, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds up there. McMinnville now is getting in on this activity, but so far it looks like it's much weaker up here. But now we have a new warning here. This is going to be for parts of Sequatchie, Hamilton, Ray, and Meigs counties for 60 mile an hour winds for the next 40 minutes. And this has also been observed. So reportedly here, they have observed 60 mile an hour winds with this. So again, that's a new warning here for the next 40 minutes. That's going to go in effect here until 5:15 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 4:15 Central Time. For those of you in Sequatchie, Bledsoe, Ray, Meigs, and northern Hamilton counties. So that right now is the main area. Also, that's another main area that needs to be seeking shelter. So let me get that new warning out here real quick. That's a new severe thunderstorm warning up in those areas. But again, right now the main really rough stuff here is to the south. But again, all areas need to be on alert for the potential of widespread significant wind damage. I mean, unfortunately, I don't like to, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm just telling you that when you have winds being indicated like this, especially in that area I was just talking about in Dade County, there near New Home and down towards the north side of just north of Trenton here. I mean, this is literally 70 to 80 mile an hour wind here, and that is destructive. So they've now upgraded Dade County to destructive. And let me read you what that says. This is basically a severe thunderstorm emergency, in other words. These are destructive storms for Coal City. So these are destructive storms for Coal City and northern Dade County. And I'm going to be honest with you, let's extend that in the Whiteside, because Whiteside's in this too. I mean, this is lifting right up into that area. And down towards Lookout Valley, here's your heads up. Also, another area is forming here over Cloudland Canyon. I mean, there's going to probably be some significant tree damage down here towards Cloudland Canyon. And again, also, it's destructive winds in Dade County again. So we got two hot areas, the hot pocket areas right now, where we're seeing 80 mile an hour winds. One over Coal City and Whiteside, moving right towards Chattanooga. The other one to the south, towards Cloudland Canyon, and towards Chickamauga. And again, we got multiple warnings here in effect. So we have a destructive severe thunderstorm warning for Hamilton County. So you don't hear this wording very often. These are destructive storms for the Chattanooga metro area. As I've said, this is a very serious situation. I mean, we're talking about the potential of widespread wind damage in a major metropolitan area here. So you got to take this seriously, because we have widespread wind damage occurring in all areas along this line. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to focus on the main areas that really have the most danger. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, I hate to say this, but it is everywhere along this line. Again, no power in Tracy City. This wind is rough and rising fun. So let me get this out here real quick, because this is basically what we call a severe thunderstorm emergency for the Chattanooga area. So let me see what we got here. So this is the new warning. And like I say, you don't get this kind of wording, especially in our area, very often. And as I said, I'll be honest, I did not expect 80, but this is where we're at right now. And again, there's also another area of 80 mile an hour winds that's passing south of Trenton and heading up here towards Chickamauga. So we got multiple spots along this line where we're seeing the potential for destructive winds. Not damaging winds anymore. This is destructive wind. This is the kind of wind that can rip a roof off. This is the kind of wind that can topple mobile homes. This is also EF0, EF1 kind of wind speed. So from Whiteside to east of Trenton, out here towards Rossville, Fort O, Chickamauga, the south side of Chattanooga here, especially south of downtown, that's going to be the main danger zone. And up here to the north, I don't want to forget about anybody up here, towards Whitwell, you got 50 to 60 mile an hour winds heading your way. And same with Dunlap. Your winds are also increasing, so 50 to 60 up here. So Dunlap, get ready. You don't have a destructive tag, but you don't have to in order to have some really, really rough stuff up here. So, again, right now I'm kind of copy and pasting this because this is very important information. So, again, like I say, these are very destructive storms here moving across southeast Tennessee and northwest Georgia as we speak. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull on the radar here and show you all this area. So, like I say here, I'm also getting some some pictures and stuff that are being sent here. Again, if you guys have any kind of, if you're able to safely do so, if you have any damage or anything you need to report or anything, put that in the comments or direct message me your report. So that way, in case if I need to relay that or something, I can do that. So if there's anything that I need to like share or anything, like as far as roads closed or whatever that may be, just know that, just make sure that you guys are so just sending reports when you can do so safely. I don't want you out in harm's way, but after the storm has passed and you've had some wind damage or something, just make sure you let me know. Let's see. So let me put that tag on there. These are destructive storms here. There we go. So again, also up here to the north, like I say, Spencer, you're also now under a severe thunderstorm warning. I just got that notification. So severe thunderstorm warning for Van Buren County and also eastern Grundy County. Your warning there goes in effect. Let me get you a time frame on that. That goes in effect until 4:30. And let me get you the reading on that real quick, because like I said, we got so many warnings here ongoing, including that destructive tag in the metro area. This is for 60-mile-an-hour winds and penny-sized hail. It says a severe thunderstorm was located 7 miles north of Grootly Lager, so right here, or 13 miles southwest of Dunlap, so right in here, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. So those of you in the path of this storm include Spencer and Fall Creek Falls. Now up here across Squatchy County and up into Bledsoe County, and also Ray, this warning also goes into effect until 4:15. Severe thunderstorms located along the line extending from 6 miles north of Grootly Lager to 7 miles north of Whitwell, and that's moving east at 55. And those of you in Dayton, Dunlap, Pikeville, Soddy Daisy, Graysville, Flat Top Mountain, Mount Crest, Big Spring, Sail Creek, and Palo are in the path of that. So Meigs is also in these warnings. So again, as I said, let's check out that high wind area here that's really strong down here, moving across the Wildwood area. So there's the exit. So that's where all the gas stations are. Again, that's a 79 right there. That's still very intense. So there's 299. There's Highway 11. That's Birmingham Highway. Here's Walhatchee Pike. And this is heading up the mountain here. So Covenant College, Rock City, the golf club that's up there on Lookout Mountain. This is heading up the mountain in your area. Also St. Elmo. St. Elmo's in the path of this. Also towards East Ridge, Rossville, Missionary Ridge area, downtown. Even downtown's in the path of this. So downtown Chattanooga, you're going to be on the north side of this. I mean, this right here can blow windows out. I mean, when you get up to 80-mile-an-hour winds, that can blow windows out. So just make sure you're away from windows from this. Also here towards the airport, looks like Fort O, you may get split by this in Fort O. Looks like this might move just to your north, but you're close enough, though, to where any south movement would definitely change the course for you. So heads up there. Let's get back up here also into Marion. Let's see how these winds are looking here also. There's a 60 to 70 still being indicated here, so that's actually ramped back up again. So it's basically passing along and east to 28 now, south of Victoria and heading up here towards Whitwell. So heads up Whitwell, 50 to 60-mile-an-hour winds at least heading your way, but to the south it's stronger. So the farther south you go along this line, the wind will strengthen. And even up in here, it's still showing 50 to 60 up here heading towards Dunlap. So if you're in Dunlap, Fredonia Mountain, damaging winds are heading your way very momentarily. Cagle Mountain, you're up next. Looks like they relax a little bit up here towards Spencer, but you still got that potential for damaging winds. And also if you're over in Pikeville, your wind threat's increasing. Same with Dayton. And then down here to the south, I mean, this is just a big mess down here. Just a very strong mess down here. And check this out. There's an 87. That's an 87-mile-an-hour wind gust approaching High Point in Walker County. So that's heading right to Chickamauga. So I said these are destructive storms. Once you get to 80-mile-an-hour winds, it's destructive. Because those kind of winds are up to the speed of almost an EF1 tornado. There's an 83 now being indicated on Lookout. Moving up Lookout right now. So this is going to produce a lot of wind damage. Now I'm checking to make sure we don't, also behind the scenes to make sure we don't have any tornadoes or anything, and so far I've not seen it. But when you get winds in the 70 to 80 mile an hour range as we're seeing here across the metro area and down into Walker County, those kind of winds right there can do just as much damage as a small tornado, especially with trees. So you definitely got to keep that in mind. There's a 68 mile an hour gust there approaching Griffith Highway right now, south of Kettner Mill. Here's a 74 on top of Etna Mountain. And then up here near Griffith Creek, there's a 65 being indicated. Just to the east of there, heading up towards Cartwright, Doss, and the Dunlap area. And also Chattooga County, you got heavy wind down here too, so some 50 to 60 mile an hour winds also heading towards Dalton and Calhoun. So as I said, we just got so much ongoing here. Just a lot happening. Let's check reflectivity here to what you're used to seeing here. And as I said, I mean, you really look at the reflectivity here, and it really doesn't show anything impressive. That's why I've been showing mostly the wind mode here, because the wind mode, which is the Doppler mode basically, it's able to tell you exactly where the strong wind areas really are. And unfortunately on reflectivity, at least in this case, it's really hard to differentiate here. But again, it doesn't have to look all that impressive on reflectivity outside the reds to really be able to give a good scope on what's going on here. But again, if you're out here in northwest Georgia here, so again, Catoosa County, Walker, Whitfield, and Murray, you now have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning for 70 mile an hour winds. So you've been upgraded out there. So Dalton and Chatsworth, you now have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning that expires in 30 minutes. So that's for 70 mile an hour winds. So again, all areas in between here. So all areas from, we'll say Prentice Cooper, down through downtown Chattanooga, down through Lookout, Chickamauga, Lafayette, points east towards Cleveland, and Dalton and Chatsworth. You run the potential for 70 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts. And up here to the north, towards Dunlap and Pikeville, you got 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts. And the same goes for Dayton and Soddy and Sale Creek. And if you're out here towards Jasper and Kimball and up here towards Grootley, Tracy, Beersheba, and really Grundy County altogether, you guys are good. The worst is now to your east. So if you're in Grundy County, you're good. If you're in Warren County, the worst is over for you. So, and back out here to the west, if you're still watching in Coffee or Franklin, you guys are good too. Just be on the lookout because we may have additional storms coming in after sunset. Again, we'll see. I'll update that later once we get this stuff out of here. So, again, like I say, let's focus here on the heart of the metropolitan area here because we got a very dangerous situation here. And boy, let me tell you, this is some nasty, nasty wind here going up on top of the mountain. Look at that, 82. That's an 82 mile an hour wind gust there being indicated on top of Lookout near Rock City. There's an 82 going into St. Elmo. 83 there. Forest Hills, about 60 to 70 there, but it's just starting. Alton Park. So going up Broad Street here. Winds are really starting to ramp up along Broad Street. And this is heading out here towards I-24, Rossville Boulevard area. This is going to go right into East Ridge. So East Ridge is next in line to see this. And then up here to the south too, Chickamauga, Lafayette, y'all are getting hammered. Rock Springs about to get this. So Rock Spring, you're basically seconds from some very intense winds. Also Ringgold, you have the potential for some intense winds that could be again 60 to 70 miles an hour heading your way. Again, the 80 seems to be combined up here towards Lookout Mountain and we'll just say southern Chattanooga, but up here down to the south is also, at least the inflow into this is about 60 to 70. So it's very strong and very damaging down in here. And let's see here if I got any reports here. Again, how much longer for Whitwell? I'd say in Whitwell, you guys got about maybe five more minutes and you guys will be out of the woods. Is the wind supposed to be bad in Somerville? Actually, in Somerville, you guys are out of the woods now. This is to your east, so the 50 to 60 mile an hour winds is to your east now. Aren't those hurricane winds? Yes. Once you get above 74, that's the speed of a Category 1 hurricane. So basically what we're seeing here, inside the Chattanooga city limits here, near downtown, we're seeing winds that are in the Category 1 hurricane level. I mean, this is some very intense stuff here. R.A. Griffith Highway and Whitwell, bad. Lafayette Square raining and no winds yet. Electricity is out in Colmont. No power in Whiteside. Wind was super rough and Rising Fawn. I'm passing on some reports here. Tullahoma is clear, so you guys are good right now, but there may be an additional storm or two later. Again, I'll touch on that once we get this through. And let's see, all done in Jasper Highlands again. Emergency alert just came through in Trenton. So what's probably happening here, and I forgot to mention this earlier when these I'm just going to call them severe thunderstorm emergencies were issued here. Those wireless emergency alerts do also sound when you have a destructive tag severe thunderstorm warning. So when you have that destructive tag, like what Chattanooga is going through right now, that right there is that's when the phones will go off. So your phones likely went off in those areas that are under that tag. So let's see how those winds are looking now because I just got a new update. There's an 82, 84. It still hadn't changed. So sadly, this has not changed. So a lot of tree damage is going to be happening here on the south side of town. Out there south towards 23rd and points south from there. And also up here to the north, I don't want to forget about Sequatchie County. Winds are also starting to ramp up here. We're now getting a 68 here, north and east of Fredonia Mountain. And moving up towards Mount Airy and towards Pikeville. So again, I think the wind threat is continuing to increase also up here towards Pikeville along 127. So again, we got multiple different pockets of damaging wind here. And what I'll do here is I'm getting a couple of storm track recommendations. So I'm going to follow through with that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to track first. We'll do an updated track on this most dangerous part of the storm here. That does have the 80-mile-an-hour winds. Again, you never see this very often right here. These are destructive storms. So let's put this out at 50 miles an hour. In fact, I'll go ahead and do a little track here that's actually going to go farther out. And also not just that, but also update that speed and actually do 55 to give an extra heads up. So Ridgeside at 451. So shelter in place there. 452 in East Ridge. This is on your doorstep. Downtown Chattanooga right now. 80-mile-an-hour winds moving in. Camp Jordan around 454. Boyd Highlands around 455. Drake Forest, so getting close to the area that was hit by that Easter tornado 5 years ago, around 457. Graysville around 458. Silverdale 458. Ringgold downtown 5 o'clock. Ooltewah, Collegedale 503 Eastern time. Again, I'm adding an hour to these times because these are central. 505 in Appleton. McDonald in Bradley County 508. Cohutta in Whitfield County 509. South Cleveland 513. So the Cleveland area here, roughly between 5 and 5:30 is going to be the arrival time for you. Actually, I'll correct myself, between 5 and 5:45 for Cleveland. So heads up out that way. You're next up. Now let's get up here to the north and we'll track this other portion here that's moving across the north side of town, north side of the metro here, that's heading up towards Saudi and Lake site. That's also, we're going to track that at 55 and get you an updated arrival time there. So Signal, this is on top of you right now at 452 or within the next minute. Walden at 454. Red Bank at 456. Falling Water there at 458. Middle Valley there around 5 o'clock. 502 in the Middle Valley area. Bartleball there at 503. Park Shore Estates at 503. Mowbray Mountain at 504. Harrison at 504. Soddy Daisy 505, as well as Lakesite. Snow Hill in Eastern Hamilton County at 511. So that's for that segment. And then lastly up here, up towards, we'll say Van Buren County, and also Sequatchie and Bledsoe here. We'll track this out close to Spring City here, and let me get an update on that and see if that's changed any. Let's see. That's moving northeast at 55. So again, this is all moving at about the same speed. So that helps with the tracking here, at least with timing. So again, 353 Central and Brockdale, Lusk and Palo around 355. So pretty much right now. Hendon at 4 o'clock. Brayton at 4 o'clock. Pikeville also at 4 o'clock. 404 in New Harmony. Summer City at 406. Again, this is up in Bledsoe County. Dayton and Ray County there around, that's 511 Eastern time. Evansville at 515. Melvine and Bledsoe County around 415. Again, it might be a little bit sooner because sometimes that's off by a few minutes. And then Old Washington there around 518. So those are some tracks there that take this out to the east. Again, if you're in Whitwell, the worst is over. If you're in Crossroads, the worst is over. This is now to your east now. So really, Suck Creek about 5 more minutes, but the majority of Marion County is pretty much good from this. Again, as I said, this is definitely a Chattanooga storm here, at least as far as the most intense winds are concerned. So what I'll do here is let's update these winds here, and I would not be surprised if I look, and again, I'm looking at some cameras here behind the scenes on the computer sites here, and I can't even load them up because of the power outages. So that just tells you right there. Again, I can't even show it on camera anyways because of copyright. But behind the scenes here, I'm looking at some stuff, and none of the cameras I've seen are even working right now, except for a couple of the T-Dot cameras, and that's it. So that tells me right there that we've had some significant wind move right across the city here, and it's doing so right now. Again, look at that, 85 miles an hour being indicated near Park Ridge there off Macaulay Avenue. There's 85 there moving into Brainerd. 83 in East Ridge heading out here towards the airport. So I'm very interested to see what the Chattanooga Airport reading here reads in about 5 to 10 minutes here. We'll know pretty quickly, probably by about 30 minutes, to see what the wind gust got up there. Here towards Gun Barrel Road, Hamilton Place. Y'all are next in line. Tyner, Ooltewah, Collegedale, Appleton. I say I'm going fast here because we got to get this word out here. Also, Red Bank, very intense storm. Hickson, up here towards Harrison. Next up in line. I mean, this is a very intense bow echo. I mean, this is what you see in what we call a derecho situation. I mean, this is derecho level wind that you would see typically out in Iowa and up in the Midwest. This is the type of wind that's moving through southern Hamilton County right now. And unfortunately, that's just what's happening here. And also, again, another area of very strong wind is moving up 127 into the Pikeville area. So again, 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts possible there. Dunlap, you are almost out of it here. And actually, the worst of it is to your east. I mean, it's probably still windy there, but at least the really bad stuff is pushing to your east now. So Fredonia Mountain, Cagle, Dunlap, I believe y'all are good now. And again, there could also be a little bit of maybe some pea-sized hail, maybe some marble-sized hail also in this storm moving over North Chattanooga right now. As said, I've tried to load up some T-Dot cameras and stuff here behind the scenes, and I'm going to tell you right now, they're all out. They're all out on the south side of the city, and that tells you right there of just how bad this storm is. And that usually does not happen unless you have a major storm that's hit. So Dalton area, get ready. You got some very heavy wind and rain heading your way. Same with Chatsworth. So Whitfield, Murray counties, get ready. Ringgold, this is almost on your doorstep. Again, widespread 60 to 70 mile an hour winds moving your way. Again, if you're up here towards Van Buren County, you also got some, and I'm glad that just hit my mind here. So if you're in Van Buren County, you got some strong winds up here, probably 40 to 50, but I do believe the worst is done with in your areas. And then up here to the north towards Sparta and Cookeville, these are some heavy storms, but those are non-severe. Also, Calhoun and Gordon County, some heavy wind and rain moving through your area. Again, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds are possible down that way. Again, Dalton's getting in on this right now. And in Cleveland, here's your heads up in Cleveland. Very intense winds here moving in your direction. I mean, these are about as bright of colors as you can get on Doppler radar. 81 mile an hour winds being indicated over Brainerd Road, close to McBride Road, and where the old Ray Feeder used to, right there where that is. So right over the airport. So as I said, we should hear pretty quickly of what that wind gust was at the airport. And that'll be the official observation for the city of Chattanooga to see what kind of wind actually happened. 77 being indicated up here towards North Chat, so right up Hickson Pike. Then it lightens up a little bit up here as you get up towards Signal Mountain, but again, that's still at least 50 to 60 mile an hour wind up there. I mean, that's still significant enough. Again, let's see. I haven't seen any new warning information or updates yet from the NWS. But again, as I said, if you guys got damage reports or anything, feel free to send those in either to me via Messenger or something like that, so that way I can send some. So that way I can see if I need to report anything or anything like that. But as I said, I mean, this is some very serious wind here moving across the city of Chattanooga right now, and especially on the east side of town and also down into North Georgia. So it's really, right now, it's Catoosa County, it's Walker County, and it's Hamilton County, and also Bledsoe. So those are the top, we'll just call it the top areas that are being impacted by dangerous winds at this minute. So as I said, continue to let me know what you're seeing. Again, Cleveland, this is heading your way. So Birchwood and Cleveland, this is heading your way. Okay, Chattanooga Aquarium live cam is working. Wind looks very strong. Okay, thank you for letting me know that. Power out on Mountain Creek. Just raining in Rossville, very little wind. And Hickson here south of me is fine. Again, looks like the worst of the wind's probably going to go south of Hickson. And in Rossville, this will be out of your area probably within about... Well, it's actually moving out now, so the worst of it is moving out, basically. And the good news is if you're in Marion County and out towards Dunlap and Grundy and Points West and down into Jackson County, you're good. So the threat's ended out here. It's mainly for the metro area and Points East is where this is. Gun Barrel Road, this is heading right over you right now. So Gun Barrel Road, this is on top of you. And in fact, I'm actually seeing and 82-mile-an-hour wind gusts being indicated there, not far off the ground. No power on Cagle. Epworth, Georgia, this is heading your way too, and I'm hopefully it'll be weaker by that time. But again, we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning update here, so let's see. They did downgrade it to considerable, but that's still significant enough. I'm still seeing some 70 to 80 here, mainly near and south of the Chickamauga Dam here, and it's moving north and east towards Harrison and Ooltewah. How much longer in Lookout Valley? Good news is Lookout Valley, you're good now, so the worst is to your east. Let's see. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Dalton, Georgia, you're getting the worst of the weather right now. And I'm seeing some very strong winds moving in, some 50 to 60, at least on Doppler radar. Again, when you have these bright orange, the bright reds and all that, that's the indication of the very strong wind. And I said, this is a very intense burst of wind moving right across southern Hamilton County. It's moving right up I-75, basically, so like I say, I would definitely, especially high-profile vehicles, I would not be traveling along I-75 right now. I mean, that's gonna really be problematic, especially once you get up here, especially once you get up White Oak Mountain right here, because that's just gonna get downright ugly. I mean, just ugly. Up here towards, let's see, make sure I'm not missing anything. Electric is off on off here on Cherry Acres. And as I said, this is moving towards the Cleveland area. So that's also where that's heading. So Cleveland, as I said, you're looking at an arrival time basically between, we'll say 4:05 and 4:35. Excuse me, that's Central Time. Eastern Time, excuse me, would be 5:05 and 5:35. That's your arrival time there in that area. So again, let me make sure I'm not missing anything else. And again, as I said, I'm also streaming this on YouTube. So if you need to, so if you're able to watch on YouTube as well, you do also have that ability to watch over there too. And let me see if it lets me view any comments over there too, just to see if there's any reports or anything. And so far, I haven't seen anything over there. Unfortunately, it's not letting me in there, so that stinks. But again, I do see that there's some reaction over there, but that's about all I can see over here. Now it does appear on that last scan I'm looking at here on velocity. It's still, I said, it's still very strong in here, but hopefully there's a sign that this will eventually start gusting out. So the good news is I'm no longer seeing 80s in here, so that's a good sign. So hopefully this thing is starting to weaken, but we're still seeing some 70 to 75s here, really between 65 and 75 being indicated in here. And that right there will still, though, bring down a lot of trees. That can bring down trees and power lines and all kinds of stuff. So heading right up I-75. Here's Ooltewah-Ringgold Road. There is a Lee Highway that runs through here. Also, pretty close to where McKee Foods and all that is, down there in Collegedale, where they built that new road and such. That's the area where this very strong wind is going over right now. So there's Ooltewah, there's Collegedale, there's Appleton, there's McDonald. Here's Bradley County. Again, as I said, Bradley County, you are next in line. So what I'm going to do here real quick is put a track on this. Again, I'm going to track from the wind area, not necessarily the thunderstorm itself. I'm going to track from the strongest wind and give you a time frame on that for those of you in Cleveland. So what I'll do here is let me get this out of line track and do it on cell track. And that is moving north and east at about 55 miles an hour. So again, Cleveland, so Ooltewah, they're around 5:05. So basically right now, let me update that because that just moved on me. So let's try that again there at 55. Here we go. So McDonald, it's in your area around 5:08. Mineral Park at about 5:06. South Cleveland around 5:12. And downtown Cleveland around 5:15, 5:20. So roughly around that time frame is when this is going to be in downtown Cleveland. North Cleveland at 5:16. Waterville also at 5:15, Tasso at 5:21, and the Benton area of Polk County around 5:30. So I said this is going to be a fast mover. So I mean, so by the time we get about 30 minutes from now, this is likely going to be all the way over in Ocoee and Benton by that point. So this is going to be a fast mover. So as long as this timing works out right, we'll be able to get these storms out of the area fully out of the area here between like roughly 5 and 6. So as I said, this is a fast mover. It's moving through fast, but it's packing a punch here, unfortunately. So where it's moving. So let's see here. We got let's see if we got any reports or anything. So that's what I'm looking for here. No outlooks. Let's see what we got here. Here we go. Let's see if we got any wind damage or anything like that. All within the last hour. Haven't seen anything pop up on that, but again, I'll relay anything that I need to relay here. But right now, we also have a new warning here that has just been issued. This is for Murray County, a small portion of Whitfield, and into the Blue Ridge Mountains. So this is for 60-mile-an-hour winds for those of you in Ellijay, Epworth, McKaysville, Blue Ridge area, and out towards Blairsville. That's your severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the next 41 minutes. So that's going to go in effect here until 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time. So when you draw this line out, that's basically a 40-minute time. So that tells you how fast this is going to move until that point. So, and that's moving east at 65 miles an hour. I mean, that's very strong. So what I'll do here is I'll give a track on that too, just so our friends down here in so we don't forget about our friends down here to the south in Murray County. So we'll track that here, east at 65. Again, these are speeds that you would drive on the highway. That's how fast these are moving. So let's move that east at 65. And again, this will be in Chatsworth around 510. Same with Eton, Sumac around 510, Prater Mill 511, Crandall 512. So the Cohutta Wilderness area around 515. I said this is going to move through fast. And then Higdon, Georgia at 527. That's out in the Blue Ridge. Cherry Log around 530. Blue Ridge proper 533. So that would be around Ellijay around the same time. So 530, 545 around the Ellijay Blue Ridge area. So that's with that line. And let's get up here, back up here on the Tennessee side. Again, Pikeville, you guys are getting hammered right now with some intense lightning, some intense rain and wind. And Dayton, this is on your doorstep. So let's put a track update on this one. This warning expires in about 10 minutes. And said again, I'll track about 5 miles ahead of this, so that way you can get some advance notice up here towards Decatur, 10 Mile, and Spring City. And then here we go. Again, there's Summer City at 408, so basically right now from the most intense part of the storm, Cold Spring in Bledsoe County at 411. Now we jump over here to the Eastern Time Zone, so we add an hour. 517 in Dayton, so Bryan College area also around 517. Graysville also at 517. Evansville at 517 as well. Old Washington at 521. Spring City around 524. Decatur in Meigs County at 528. Down here towards Lakeside at 531, not Lakeside, but Lakeside to the north there at 531. Apollo Shores at 532. Watts Bar area around 534. And in 10 Mile around 535, and also the Grandview area of Ray County, this will be near you around 530. And again, if this holds together, those of you out here towards Athens will be next in line too. So heads up out here towards Athens. Again, within the next hour, you'll be dealing with severe thunderstorm activity as well. So let's check out these winds here in southeast Hamilton County. Now, thankfully, they've downgraded this, and as I said, the winds actually continue to slowly collapse. But that's still a very strong indication of definitely at least 70-mile-an-hour wind here. Still getting some 70s in here that are moving over Ooltewah and Collegedale and Appleton right now. And that's moving into Bradley County as we speak. So if you're in Bradley County, this is moving into your area. Excuse me there. Up here towards Hickson, got some strong wind there, but not as strong to the south. But you're still getting probably some 50s and 60s up there. And that's moving into Lakeside and Harrison and Saudi right now. And then some very strong, really strong area, 50 to 60 mile an hour wind that's heading towards Graysville and Dayton and up towards Evansville. So that's right along 27 up there. Again, this is a very serious situation here still. So we'll get down to street level here. Again, if you know anybody out here towards Cleveland, tag them, share this video to them. You know, whatever you got to do, make sure they're staying safe. So here's 317. So there's the Summit Ball Complex. There's Four Corners where that light is, so pretty close to the public library. Little Debbie Park, toward McKee Foods. Southern Adventist that's where this is right now. Little Debbie Parkway. There's Lee Highway. There's where all the restaurants and all that are. and up here towards Ooltewah High School, Pine Hill, and White Oak Mountain runs right up and through here. So it's very interesting to see what happens as this goes up over the mountain here and into Bradley County. We'll see if it strengthens it or weakens it in any way. But again, that's the heaviest wind is basically from about Volkswagen all the way out into the Blue Springs area of Bradley County, approaching Blue Springs. And it's going to move into the south side of Cleveland here, probably within about 5 minutes, roughly. Looks like maybe some weak rotation trying to show up here near Benton, up in northwestern Polk County. Let me check and see if that's accurate. Yeah, there's a cell trying to spin here along with that gust front, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now it's not an imminent threat, but it heads up here towards, also heads up towards Charleston and Etowah, as well as Delano. You got some heavy thunderstorms heading your way, as well as Benton and Ocoee. Again, no formal warning up in here yet for Spring City or Decatur or Athens at the moment, as well as Sweetwater or Tellico. But again, you got some very severe storms that are heading up in your direction. And let me see what movement, how fast these are moving here. And like I say, this northern end is actually intensifying up here. So as this moves north, kind of east-northeast, this line up in here through the north side of Pikeville and down here towards Dayton and Graysville, this is intensifying. So wind is increasing here for sure. And then down here to the south, this is also continuing to look very intense. I mean, this is a very classic bow echo here. You got that backward C. Let me redraw that so I can draw it right along the line here. You can see right in there. You see where this little line I drew? That's a very strong bow, and the 70-mile-an-hour winds are all in this corridor right in here just behind it. And that's exactly where it's moving. So it's moving towards Cleveland. It's moving towards Ocoee, moving towards Blue Springs, which is right here. And there's a new warning there on that cell. So new severe thunderstorm warning for, it says here 60-mile-an-hour wind, but I'm still going to keep the 70 in there just to be on the safe side, just to be precautionary. So this new warning goes in effect here until 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So 5 o'clock Central. This is for southeastern Hamilton, pretty much almost all of Bradley County, all of Polk County, southwestern Monroe County, and extreme southeastern McMinn County. Not quite Etowah, but just south of there, and it also includes the south side of Tellico Plains and extends down through all of the Ocoee and all of Polk County, including Ducktown, and west through the Cleveland area. That's this new warning that runs in effect here until 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. As I said, it's moving through quickly. It's moving at about 50 to 60 miles an hour, and it's picking up speed. And the stronger these storms get, the faster they're moving. So we're getting them in and out of here fairly quickly. And the majority of this is going to quickly push here east of 27 and east of I-75 here within the next 30 minutes, as far as the timing is concerned. So once we get these storms past Tellico and past Blue Ridge and Ducktown, then we will be then all of the viewing area will officially be all clear. There's already areas that are all clear, like for example Sequatchie County, Marion County, Chattanooga proper, Red Bank. You guys are good. Walker County, Catoosa, Dade, Chattooga counties, y'all are good. Nothing happening down here to the west, and I'm not seeing anything out here to the west at this time that looks concerning. Out towards Middle Tennessee at the moment, so that's good. So Franklin County, y'all are good. Grundy, Marion, Jackson, DeKalb, Marshall, Lincoln, Moore, Coffee County, Warren, DeKalb. Nothing severe out here. The worst is over for you. So I figured to get some all clears there out of the way real quick in case those are still tuning in. Again, we still continue to see more storms popping up out ahead of this out here towards Polk County and down into the Blue Ridge Mountains. But again, right in here, again, some very strong winds in here. Still, we're not seeing 80s anymore. But that doesn't matter. I mean, we're still seeing some 60 to 70 in here, moving into Bradley County. So the worst of it's now beginning to exit out of Ooltewah. The worst of it's exiting out of Summit and Volkswagen, and it's about to exit out of Collegedale here very shortly. And it's going to move, and it's moving into the south side of Cleveland right now, so close to Blue Springs, south side of town, where all the dealerships are and all that around the 74 APD 40 bypass. That's the area this is moving into. And it's heading out towards Ocoee and Benton next. And then up here to the north, again, Dayton, you guys are now getting the worst of it. The worst of it's entering town right now. Evansville get ready. This is heading your way next. Spring City and Decatur. This is on your doorstep. And again, this has continued to intensify here over the last little bit. As I've said, I mean, it got up to 87 degrees today. I mean, the atmosphere is very unstable out ahead of this. I mean, this line is probably going to continue right on through the Blue Ridge Mountains, and there's a chance that this may hold together even farther east. So our neighbors out east in upstate South Carolina and western North Carolina, they're going to have to deal with this too down the road. So it's affecting a lot of people right now, not just us, but it's about to affect Metro Atlanta. It's going to affect other areas too. And if this holds together also, this will also impact the Knoxville area and up towards Gatlinburg. So again, there's many areas that are being impacted by this very long line of thunderstorms. And areas that are not being impacted to the east, well, that's about to change. And that warning just expired for Bledsoe and Bledsoe and Ray, North Hamilton, and Meigs for that warning. But considering how strong those winds up there, I'd imagine there'll probably be a new warning I can see, unless it's weakened to the point where, which would be a good thing, to the point where it's non-severe. But again, we'll see what happens with that. But at the moment here, the main warnings here are to the south. So again, Whitfield County, you're good. You're out of this now. This is mainly Chatsworth and east towards Blue Ridge and Ellijay, up towards Epworth, Morganton, McKaysville area. And this is also heading up into Cleveland and points in between from there. So heads up here towards Cleveland and Benton. This is all heading your way. And I'm also getting this out here real quick, considering this is also, I forgot to post that last warning there, but again, if you're up here towards Benton and up towards Delano and Etowah, get ready. You got some very intense thunderstorms heading in your direction at this time. So again, we got a couple warnings here. I have to get across here to the socials here, to my Facebook here. And again, I know that was probably stranger when you had the warnings and stuff going off there, like the destructive tags of your thunderstorm warning going off. But again, that's something that's been in place for several years. Again, trees down being reported in Dunlap, and I just approved that into the group. So at the same time, I'm also approving any kind of important damage or anything like that gets posted into the group, so that way we can let folks know and spread the word here on any potential affected areas. Because I can imagine we're probably getting a lot of tree damage reports and such out of these areas right now. So again, I'm currently releasing the warning here. That's the text warning here that was just issued for southern Bradley County, southeastern Hamilton County, but I'll be honest with you, I think it's moving out of Hamilton now, except maybe up towards Snow Hill up there on the east side of Harrison, but that's about it. The worst of it's out of Ooltewah and Collegedale now. So you guys are good there. Appleton, you're good, and really the rest of the county is good, except for maybe Birchwood and Georgetown. But even there, this is actually up in here to the north, has actually been declared non-severe. So that helps a good bit too. So up here to the north, while this is actually technically intensified, at least on the reflectivity end, the velocities are actually below severe levels just by a little bit, at least at this moment. Now, could that change? Yes, but at the time, you're just seeing probably some 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts, as opposed to 60 to 80 like we've been seeing all throughout the afternoon, really since 2 o'clock. And let's see what else we got here. Like I say, I'm making sure we don't miss anything on reports and such. And let's check on here to the south too. Looks like this wind's trying to ramp up here, moving into Cleveland. As I said, we're still seeing some 60 to 70 here. Now that's 76, considering that's 5,000 feet off the ground. We're looking higher up, so that's probably closer to 60 at the surface. So you have to subtract that. So again, even though that's subtracted technically from at least at surface level, you folks in the Cleveland and Ocoee areas, you just need to make sure you're inside, away from windows, away from outside walls and all that stuff. Just make sure you're protected. And as I said, just treat these severe thunderstorm warnings like they're tornado warnings and just take shelter until these storms pass. And again, we also have this other warning also in effect down here across Murray County and extending into the Blue Ridge Mountains. So Fannin and Gilmer counties, you guys are also involved in this warning. Again, that's also for 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. That's going to go in effect for you for the next 25 minutes. And I said they'll probably continue extending these warnings here farther east as long as they continue to maintain their strength. So practically most counties in our area have had at least one severe thunderstorm warning today because of the extent of the wind, except farther north. I mean, you get up there towards I-40, you haven't had a single warning, and just a little bit of rain so far. So you guys up north towards Cookeville and Crossville and Sparta have really lucked out so far in a way, but because unfortunately areas to the south sadly have really gotten the brunt of it here today. But as I said, I mean earlier this morning, there's that potential. I mean that we're going to have that potential for widespread damaging winds. That's why we were put early this morning while we were put under that enhanced risk. And that enhanced risk, that level 3. That doesn't get usually issued for anything, and it tells you right there that, hey, there's a very high potential here that you could have at least damaging winds. Now, enhanced risk doesn't always mean higher tornado risk, and today pretty much proves that. You could also have a enhanced risk for damaging winds, and as the case actually about a month ago, we had one for hail. So it's kind of like a point here. And the point here is just to let you know that straight line winds can be just as significant as a small tornado. As I said, the wind speeds we were seeing earlier in the Chattanooga area and then across Bryan, Alabama, and down towards northwest Dade County earlier, those wind gusts were likely in the range of a Category 1 hurricane. And not just that, but also an EF0, EF1 type of tornado. That's the kind of damage that those things can produce, that those kind of wind gusts can produce. Even though it's not technically tornadic, it just has the same wind speed as such. And it looks like we got a warning update down in Gordon County. Let me check that out real quick. And heaviest that's over Ranger and Fairmount, but that's about to move out of the area. So looks like I do have a follower that watches from Talking Rock, but so get ready out there down towards Jasper, Georgia, and Pickens County. That's heading into your area right now. So get ready for some intense wind there. And even up here to the north, up in Ray and northeast Bledsoe, up towards Melvine and Spring City. Even though that's technically not a severe storm up there, you might have some small hail in that one. And the winds could still be 40 to 50 miles an hour up in here. So heads up in Spring City. This is heading in your direction. Decatur and 10 Mile as well. Big Spring's getting hit pretty hard with this. And then down here towards Cleveland, let's check the wind speed update down here. And like I said, this wind continues to remain strong. Granted, we're now looking higher up in the radar. But, yeah, I mean, still, definitely some 60 mile an hour winds and maybe up to 65 in a few areas. Crossing over Highway 60 and moving towards 411. So basically the same areas I was tracking yesterday are getting more severe weather today, more severe wind damage, at least as of today. So let me see if I got any kind of other reports. High winds Cleveland took down part of our tree, just missed the car. And again, Murphy, North Carolina. So what I'll do here, since that was just issued there, let's put out a time frame for your area. So I got a request here for areas. I know technically Murphy's not in the immediate coverage area, but I'm going to do that just for you. So what I'll do is, let me make sure I put this on a line track, so it'll be a little bit, a cellular track, so it's a little more accurate. This thing would stop moving. Here we go. So let me make sure I get the right speed on that again real quick. That's moving east there at 60 miles an hour. So that's a fast mover. So again, here's Polk County real fast. Parksville, Ocoee basically right now, 527. Ducktown, 542. Turtletown, 543. So we're going down the list. Farner there in eastern Polk County, there around 546. Pine Ridge, 546 also. And then down here to the south, Unaka there, which is in Cherokee County, North Carolina. That area is going to be hit around 556. And then Murphy proper around 6 o'clock. So it looks like around 6 o'clock or so, give or take a few minutes each. For the one that's watching out of Murphy, that's when this severe storm is going to be in your area. So roughly around 6 o'clock for you. Again, as I said, it could be 10 minutes off in either direction, but around that 6 o'clock hour is when you'll see the strong to severe storms with damaging winds moving into your area over there in Cherokee County. So, back out here to the west here again, real quick, make sure I'm not missing anything else. As I said, this up in here in Ray County continues to show, again, like I said, it's a strong storm. The intensities on reflectivity have strengthened. So I wouldn't be surprised if this were to get re-upgraded to a warning again down the road. But right now, at least the wind gusts, and I'll double check, at least they've tamed down a little bit to 40 to 50. I mean, I could still knock down a tree limb or so, but at least right now we're not seeing 70s or anything like that, so that's good. Up here to the south, though, unfortunately in Cleveland and Bradley County, granted this wind is slowly starting to collapse. Actually, this time, that's a good thing. And plus, we're looking higher up in the radar here, the farther out we go here. So we're looking at about 5,000 feet up. So these 70s that are likely showing down here are likely not accurate. It's more like probably 50 to 60 at the surface, but that's still pretty strong here. So heads up across Polk County and then eventually towards the Murphy area and then down towards McKaysville, Ducktown, Farner, and up towards Coker Creek. And it looks like Tellico is going to miss out on the worst of this. But as I said, it's still pretty serious. Also getting a report just in, this is out of Marion County from Mitchell Shell. He's saying that there's a lot of trees down along 41. Haletown on scene, also power lines are down as well. So, again, that's from Marion County. So that's just a report I just got in. So, again, in Marion County, trees down, a lot of trees down along 41. Haletown Fire Department on scene. So if I were to guess on where that's probably where that is, at least as far as the exact location, it's probably, I would imagine, somewhere probably in the Haletown area in Points East, probably close to the Catfish House and all that, if I were to guess. And yeah, that's right. So just wanted to make sure that location was right. So a lot of trees down there between Haletown and Chattanooga there along 41 in Marion County. So avoid that area, roads shut down. So just keep in mind of that out there if you have to travel. Like I said, we got multiple. Also, SVC's outage map is also reporting a lot of power outages. And let me see what we got here. Let's see what the latest update from them is on the outage map. Over 4,000 customers are being affected right now. Over 2,000 are out in Grundy County right now. Over 1,000 are out in Sequatchie County. And also over 600 are out in Marion County. That's from SVC. And then I'll check EPB. So I'll check EPP for the Chattanooga metro area. Again, EPP says they're currently responding to the outages at this time. And let me show you here. Over 11,000 people in Hamilton County are without power. So over 11,000 people in Hamilton County, according to the EPB outage map, are without power. And over 4,000 people are without power in the Sequatchie Valley Electric Cooperative's service area. So unfortunately, we've had in that quick because they're concerned there's trees being reported down in Marion County. Let's see here. I got another post that may have to be approved here too. Let's see what we got. Let's see here. That's just a report from Dunlap that was happening earlier. But so yeah, let me get the report of the trees down there along 41. Again, if you're out here towards Cleveland and out towards Polk County and into southern Monroe County and also down in the Blue Ridge Mountains east of Chatsworth towards Blue Ridge and LJ, just make sure you're sheltered and away from windows. So, and as I said, just make sure you're sheltering away from windows in these warned areas. And I would even say stay away from windows up towards Spring City, Decatur, and Athens, even though you technically don't have a warning. But I would just be precautious and just take your necessary precautions here until these storms pass. So like I said, I'm passing along this report here I just got of the trees down there in Marion County, and I'll see if there's anything else that we may need to pass along from power outages as well. See if we got anything else. There we go. So as I said, I'm doing a little bit of multitasking here now. I do want to note something here too, as I talked about yesterday. Notice that even on the back side of this, there's still a small lightning danger technically for a random strike, even on the back side of this. That just tells you how intense these storms are. Right back here to the west here, there's actually a lone lightning strike that's many miles away from real thunderstorm activity. So if you still hear thunder and you're outside anywhere in the rain here in Chattanooga or Saudi or even areas where it's not raining in the Squatchy Valley, if you hear thunder, I would dart indoors for at least a few minutes here and wait for this to really clear, because there's still that risk that you might have a strike or two that randomly pops up out of the blue, and it could be pretty significant. So, as I said, this line is moving through very quickly. So, as I said, we'll probably be done with this by 5 o'clock, the way the timing is working out here. So, as I said, this is quickly moving east, and as I said, the winds actually are weakening a little, but we're still getting some really strong winds here. Right along Ocoee. So here we go. Let's look at some of the winds and that again. Let's say 50 to 60 is the most common along this. So Ellijay, you guys are getting it right now. Heading out here towards Blue Ridge and McKaysville and Ducktown and Benton and Etowah. Athens, Decatur, Spring City, you don't have anything severe up here, but you still also run the risk for heavy rain and strong winds, and there may be a little bit of maybe some marble-sized hail up here on the north side of Decatur and perhaps towards Spring City and towards 10 Mile. As I said, it's non-severe at the moment. But again, it's just something we got to keep an eye out on here. Making sure some of these warnings are updated. Again, power is out in southwest Bradley County. You just got to report there. And let's see. Again, we just got a lot of activity happening here right now. Let's see if we got anything else to pass along as far as reports are going through. Again, just lots of trees down. Here's one from Squatchy Valley Electric. There's a tree down in Dunlap. And again, here we go again. Klaus Hill Road at Cemetery, close to the same area that was hit yesterday. Close to that same area. Another tree down. Along Klaus Hill, this time at Cemetery Road, it's completely blocked, it says here, as of 50 minutes ago. So I'll share that real quick too, just to make sure that gets across. So tree down in Grundy County. So in the Klaus Hill and also Colmont area too. So as I said, we got a lot of stuff happening here, at least as far as damage is concerned. But areas to the east here, so Benton, Etowah, Charleston, Athens, extremely heavy thunderstorms moving in. Again, like I said, they're not quite to what they were earlier when they were producing those 70 to 80 mile an hour winds just west of you earlier. But man, they're still going to pack a punch. So, again, as I said, there's just a lot of activity here. Let's see what we got. 2 miles south of Wacker there. Winds just started getting harder. Hailing at Hamilton Place. Again, that was earlier, but again, let's see. That was a report I just got. Look at Adairsville and Kingston. Yeah, there was some rotation in that cell earlier, but thankfully, it looks like that's went away. I'll double check that. Yeah, that's weakened, thankfully, to again, just outside the viewing area, but I figured I'd look at that real quick. Let's see. Rossville's good, yes. No tornadoes in Cleveland, that's correct. Whiteside, trees down. Highway 134, no power in Harrison. Pikeville, you're out of the woods on this. No tornado warnings. I said no tornado warnings in effect anywhere. Heavy wind, exit 20, Bradley County. Trees were blowing crazy in the Cleveland area. How many rounds? It does appear we're going to have another round here, so let me double check here real quick and see what the latest modeling shows. Again, we're getting some new updates here. And it does appear we'll have another round of scattered showers and thunderstorms that will move through mostly after sunsets, but it's looking like here it's not going to be until roughly midnight or afterwards. And we'll just have to see if whether or not the atmosphere can destabilize before then and be able to get unstable again. I mean, it shouldn't be anywhere near as intense as what we just went through. But again, I cannot rule out totally maybe an isolated warning here overnight. But I do have hope that the overnight round should be weaker than what just went through. But again, we still got to be aware. Again, Dunlap, y'all are good. Things are fine there. Just watch out for any down trees or power lines that may be in the area. I haven't heard of anything new out of Squatchy County as far as damage is concerned. But if you do come across a down tree or line, just turn around and and take it slow. As I said, Bridgeport, at least from this severe storm, of course, you're good. Most areas are good except for Polk County and McMinn County and down towards the Blue Ridge Mountains. All areas west of there are clear from this round. But there is another round of rain and thunderstorms that'll move through probably around or just after midnight tonight and before sunrise Sunday that we'll have to watch out for. Floyd County, Armuchee area, y'all are good. This is east of you now. Let's see. Jasper, you're good from this. Loving the YouTube live. So I got someone watching on the YouTube side. 2 big trees down on Mountain Creek. And let's see what else to make sure I'm not missing anybody. I think we're good on that. And see if we have any other additional reports. Ours is out too. So power outage also in Grundy County. So like I said, we got multiple reports here of power outages and such. And whoa, this is interesting. This is a Mountain Creek Road. So this is pretty close to that gas station here. I just approved a post here in the group. There's some tree damage there on Mountain Creek Road in Chattanooga, close to one of the gas stations that's there. I didn't get an exact location there, but it's pretty close to, very close to Signal Mountain Road. So it's going to be somewhere around that area. So as I said, there's just a lot of damage here being reported from all this wind and rain. Power outs in parts of Chattanooga, trees down on some homes. Just getting a report in from a viewer there. As I said, we just got so much happening here. And also, this is a crazy video here from David Glenn. A powerful gust with severe line storms from atop Missionary Ridge. So, I'm telling you, those winds were absolutely whipping. I mean, it knocked out all of the traffic cameras that were there along I-24. That's how intense the winds are. But again, the current imminent danger, the only areas that I'm seeing right now that have imminent severe weather danger are in Ellijay and Blue Ridge and up towards McKaysville, and it's about to hit Ducktown soon. So if you're in Ocoee and Benton, you're good. Cleveland, you're out of this now. So if you're in Cleveland, you're good. Dayton, you're good. Pikeville, you're good. You still got heavy rain, but the worst is over for you. Spring City, you're almost out of it, so give it about 5-10 more minutes. You'll be out of the woods. Decatur, same thing for you. And then Athens, give it about 15 minutes, and you'll be good. But as I said earlier, this line is booking. I mean, it's fast moving. I mean, just look what's happened in the last 20 minutes alone. I mean, it's went from Cleveland, and it's already approaching Ducktown. That's how fast this is moving. This is about as fast as you would drive going down a main highway. That's the speed of these storms. I mean, just imagine how quick this is moving. So, as I said, it's getting in and out of here. So, and also the rain's wrapped up out here towards Grundy County and up towards Sequatchie County. It's about to wrap up in Chat here shortly. So, you guys out there, it's about over for you. So that's good. Again, viewer photo also down in Ringgold, a tree down there on Brock's Circle. Reports of trees down there. And again, as I said, just so much happening right now. It's just wild. Again, there's the tree down I was reporting near Dunlap earlier. So again, like I say, the areas to the west of all this are clear. And again, hopefully eventually down the road here, if this little line segment actually continues to weaken here, it's actually ramped up, unfortunately. So let me correct myself there. Again, right over Big Frog Mountain here, approaching Ducktown. If you know anybody out here towards Ducktown, McKaysville, Turtletown area, up towards Tellico Plains, give them a heads up because, man, I tell you, some very intense winds are moving in that direction. Again, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. Now, the 74 you just saw right there on that screen, what that is that's well up aloft. In fact, it tells me actually right here how far aloft that is. That's 8,000 feet. So, the good thing here is that's pretty far up high. So, again, at the surface, it's closer to 60. But again, 60 is still severe. So, heads up out here towards Ducktown and Farner and south of Delano, Turtletown, McKaysville, Copper Hill area, and eventually Murphy. Murphy, North Carolina is next up in line. And then down here towards the Blue Ridge, Epworth, Morganton areas. That's going to be next in line for this. And then up here to the north, as I said up here, up here to the north, at least the wind mode is decreasing, and even the storm mode's actually slightly weakened up in here too. And this is just about to move out of our area here. So it's exiting Spring City. And once it gets after 10 Mile, it'll be moving up into the Knoxville viewing area. And then down here towards Athens and McMinn County, and also Decatur area, some heavy storms. But again, these have been declared non-severe, so that's good news for those of you in most of Monroe County, specifically from Tellico and up north to Sweetwater. So again, you don't have to worry about a severe weather situation, but you do have strong thunderstorms with gusty winds, lightning, and heavy rain moving into your area as we speak. So also looks like a little showers popped up out here close to Fayetteville, but that's nothing worrying at this time. And let me make sure that's not a scatter spike or something. That is a shower. So that's a light rain shower that's heading down towards Huntland, but that's non-severe. I figured I want to make note of that real quick just in case we don't get just in case we get anything additional. And even though there's not any rain ongoing, this radar depiction here from WeatherWise is showing some lightning strikes here right over, and that was earlier, so that canceled and went away, so that's good. But again, it did show a couple of lightning strikes there that were outside of the rain area. But as I said, that's just an example, though, of how far out lightning can strike from any thunderstorm. It doesn't actually have to be storming to get a lightning strike to hit. I mean, it could be pretty far out, like 15, 20 miles even. I mean, it's just insane, especially when you have an environment like this that's so favorable for severe weather. Now, if you do have friends or relatives or loved ones down here across Metro Atlanta, down to the south, make sure they are aware. They got 60-mile-an-hour winds moving in. Looks like there might be some hail in that too, but doesn't look anything too big. But if you got friends or relatives down in the Metro Atlanta area, they got some severe winds that are moving in there right now. 60-mile-an-hour winds up that way. So just let anybody know in those areas that they need to be on guard. And then right over the heart of the Ocoee here, on the east side, at least the east side of the river, that is, where all the whitewater rafting and all that stuff is done. That's where we're seeing this indication of strong wind and the really heaviest of the storm activity. And it's getting ready to approach State Route 68 and head up towards Ducktown and up towards Turtletown, the Farner area. And this warning expires in about 20 minutes, so by the 20-minute time, it should be in Cherokee County, North Carolina, and moving out of Polk County by that time. And then heading down here towards Fry and Copper Hill, McKaysville, up towards the Copper Hill schools. That's going to be the area that's next up to see this severe storm activity. And Blue Ridge is getting hammered right now with some intense rain, lightning, and gusty winds. Ellijay is also getting the brunt of this right now with some very intense winds. I'm also getting some damage reports. Let me see here. Severe damage in Bryant, Alabama from wind. And this is from Tiffany Briggs. I just got that report in. So as I said here, make sure if you do have any damage or anything like that, feel free to direct message me. In photos here, again, I'm at this profile here. It's Chase Bryant. Just direct message me if you got any damage reports or anything like that. You have like trees down or power lines down, structural damage, anything like that. So if you have anything, if you want, just direct message that to me, and if it's anything I need to release out to the public here, I will do that. In fact, I'll go ahead and download this, considering that really heavy wind went right over Sand Mountain and also went right through the heart of the Chattanooga metropolitan area a little bit earlier. A little over an hour ago is when all this happened. I mean, it's been a long time since I can remember in this area that we've seen wind, just straight line downburst wind that got up into the 80-mile-an-hour range. And as I say, it's been a long time. I don't know if anybody can correct me or anything when the last time it was, but as I said, it's been a while. And what I'm looking to see also too is see if I can find something that will also tell me how high the wind got there at Lovell Field, there, which is where the airport observation is in the city of Chattanooga. Let's see if we got an observation there and see how high the wind got there, because I'm sure it probably gusted anywhere upwards of let's see here. That was a 52. Again, I haven't seen anything, or the highest I've seen so far is 52. So we'll see what we get from there. But again, regardless, very intense storms went through. I mean, and now let's just say this: if this does have a consistency, you got to remember this has to be over 100 miles or it won't count. If this track of consistent 60+ mile-an-hour winds is consistent with the damage and everything, this may get termed as what we call a derecho. So, and that's just another term for a long-lasting line of severe thunderstorms that produces widespread 60 and higher per hour winds over a stretch of roughly 100 miles or more. So if this right here in the middle you see in Polk County, if that was confirmed to have started all the way back towards, let's say, Fayetteville or Pulaski, there's a chance we might have just went through a derecho event. So that's just some, I know that's a new term I'm throwing out there, but that's the technical term for it. So we'll have to see what gets determined here in the coming days here, and that'll have to involve some probably some surveying and all that stuff. But again, areas out here towards State Route 68 is on top of you right now in Polk County. And I said this is getting ready to cross over into Cherokee County, North Carolina here very shortly. So south of Tellico Plains, the worst of it looks like it's going to pass to your south. But again, Athens, you got some very heavy rain, but you don't have any severe weather, at least severe weather warnings, so you're good there. Madisonville, Sweetwater, same thing. Again, Pikeville, you're out of the woods on this. Even though it's still pouring there, you're out of the woods. Same with Spring City and Dayton. Y'all are good. The heaviest has moved out of the area. So, again, we can pretty much clear now. Let me double check the wind speeds to make sure I don't mess this up. We can pretty much clear everybody except for areas south of Tellico Plains and down towards Blue Ridge. These are the only areas, and I said it's a very small section of the area that only has severe thunderstorm activity at this time. So once this stuff clears out here, we'll be able to get off here by 5 o'clock and go from there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share these images here real quick too of what happened in the Bryan, Alabama area, because there's been some really rough damage that's happened down there. Let's see here. Let's see if we got anything else happening. Let's see, also got a pending post here. Doss community of Dunlap and get more trees down. Again, this is severe damage down in the Bryan, Alabama area. So what I'll do is I'll take the shots of the damage there and see what we can do, and of course give credit here just to make sure that this is accurate here real fast. Again, that's from, and again, what the damage from what we've seen here so far, all the videos and stuff, that's what 70 to 80 mile an hour winds can do. And they've actually canceled, looks like this warning for Blue Ridge has expired, so I haven't seen an extension on this yet. Let's check velocity, see if there was anything there. No, actually not, so hopefully that's a good sign, and so hopefully that's a sign that we continue to see weakening here as these move up into the mountains. And considering how high these mountains are out here across northeast Georgia and western North Carolina and far east Tennessee, that should, at least for the time being, at least temporarily while they're going over those mountains, that should tear these things apart and allow them to fall apart at least to a good extent. Now, of course, they could always come back and regenerate out here once they get out here towards Charlotte and Greenville, South Carolina, but at least right now, it looks like these are on a slow weakening trend, and we're almost out of the woods there in eastern Polk County. It's crossing over 68 right now. It looks like Ducktown, you're about out of it now. Harbuck's almost out of it. Big Frog Mountain's out of it now. Same with Benton and Coe. You guys are good. Reliance, you're good. Like I say, just a very strong area of wind that's just about to cross the border and head out of the area here and moving into Cherokee County, North Carolina here very shortly. So Coker Creek, you got about maybe 10 more minutes and you will be out of danger, at least the severe weather danger. And if you're from Etowah and Tellico Plains up north where this other heavy storm activity is happening in McMinn and Monroe counties in East Tennessee, I'm not seeing any more severe weather danger for you at the moment. So that's the good news. At least at this time. And of course, if this changes, again, if anything changes, of course, I'll let you know. But I do believe this is trending out, thankfully, now, and trending less. And here's the new radar update. I said, here's the North Carolina-Tennessee line. There's Highway 294 there in western North Carolina. There's the Farner community and all that. And that's exactly going to be the area where this is going over. So there's the Little Frog Mountain area. It's east of there now. That's where all the cluster of lightning is, too. And I said this is getting ready to cross right into Cherokee County. We still got about 10 more minutes on this warning. Again, there's not been any additional warnings being issued. And let me see if they've canceled the watch here for anybody. So if you're in Middle Tennessee, so if you're in the following counties in Middle Tennessee and North Alabama, so let me read you these counties for those that remain here. These are the counties that have been removed from the severe thunderstorm watch. They include the following counties. In Alabama, Jackson, DeKalb, and Marshall. In Middle Tennessee, Lincoln, Moore, Franklin, Coffee, Grundy, Cannon, Warren, Putnam, DeKalb, Van Buren, White, and Cumberland. You've all been removed from the severe thunderstorm watch. So your severe thunderstorm watch has been canceled. Now, it's still technically in effect here for Marion County, the Sequatchie Valley, in East Tennessee and North Georgia. But really, to be honest with you, the worst is out of the picture now. And the good news is they just canceled that severe thunderstorm warning. So some great news there. So with that said here, since we no longer have any warnings in effect, at least immediately in our coverage area in this heavy cell, that technically still has a warning for Gilmer County. That's heading out of the area. That's going to stay south of us. So the eastern counties, so far eastern Polk, McMinn, and Monroe counties, you still have strong thunderstorms over the next 20, 30 minutes or so, but you don't have anything severe, just some gusty winds, heavy rain, lightning. And also keep in mind that we do have another risk for another round of some scattered showers and storms. They should not be as intense as what we went through. So fingers crossed of that, of course. Let's hope that they're not as intense. That round will move through probably roughly between, I'll say, roughly midnight and 5 a.m., so before sunrise on Sunday and after sunset tonight. So stay on guard, and as I always say here, stay with Tri-State Area Weather. I will keep you advised.